And the Penguins are taking a lot of heat from the fans, from the media, and from their owner. Edward J. DeBartolo in the papers today offered the fans refunds if they're as disappointed in this Penguins team as he is. That should certainly shake up this Penguins team. Talk about playing under pressure. For more thoughts on tonight's game, let's go to Dick Carlson and Gary Green.
Thank you, Al. You can imagine how disappointed the Pittsburgh players are, particularly facing all of this heat. And as for the Islanders, well, they seem to have their title defense on automatic pilot. They were very loose in the locker room before the game tonight. And, Gary, I guess you can be loose when you're ahead 2 games tonight.
Well, you certainly can, but do you notice how poised this Islander club really are? They're very mature. They're not going to give any fuel to add to the Pittsburgh Penguins' motivation, their fire for tonight's game. They certainly have been there before. They know what it takes to win. They came with their bags packed. I think that means they're going home.
The Islanders won't have to light the fire tonight because the owner of the team has already done that along with the local media. And we're going to find out what these Pittsburgh Penguins are really made of tonight. Not just as hockey players, but as men, because there's an awful lot riding tonight in the way of personal pride. Right now, let's go back to Al.
Okay, Dick, the Islanders outscoring Pittsburgh in the first 2 games 15-3. It's going to take a dramatic turn for the Penguins. We'll start tonight's game on USA right after these messages.
Pennsylvania, where a near-capacity crowd is here in the game tonight. It's the Islanders and the Penguins in the semifinals in this Stanley Cup playoff action. Let's look at the NHL Stanley Cup schedule for tonight. Montreal at Quebec, and of course the series is even at 1. Boston at Buffalo, Boston on top 2-0. Minnesota, Chicago leading 2-0. Winnipeg, St. Louis even at 1. Vancouver at Calgary with Vancouver up 2-0. Edmonton at Los Angeles, the series tied at 1. And this afternoon, it was the New York Rangers coming from behind, beating the Flyers 4-3. The Rangers lead that best of 5, 2-1. This is Dick Carlson with Gary Green. And Gary, earlier, all the speculation seemingly surrounding how many people would ask for a refund after the offer was made by Edward DeBartolo, the owner of this Penguins team, over the disappointing 2-0 start that they have against this Islander team. And they face elimination against the Islanders on home ice tonight. But we found out about 30 minutes ago, only 14 fans had turned in their tickets for refunds prior to the start tonight. They're here in force to support the Penguins. The signs are out. And of course, as we talked in our open, this is a game that means an awful lot to the Penguins as a team, as individuals, as a franchise. The press has been very negative, relating not only to the start of the playoffs, but how it relates to the future of this franchise. And maybe everybody gets a little bit caught up in the emotion of this thing, because this Pittsburgh team has come a long way in the last 1.5 to 2 years under the commitment of Mr. DeBartolo and the building of this franchise. Eddie Johnston, its coach, Baz Bastien, its GM. But this Islander team that you're looking at has really done a job. Now, we're going to get a very enthusiastic crowd as these teams are introduced. The starting lineup. Listen to this crowd. It's coming to its feet. It's in a frenzied pitch, and they haven't dropped the first puck. Gary, this is really a show of support for the Penguins in the face of some very negative press the last few days.
Well, it certainly is, Dick. Just listen to this crowd. They're absolutely totally behind this Pittsburgh Penguin club, and that has got to help the Penguins. When you stand out there in the blue line, you're the starting lineup, and you hear this crowd, boy, you want to go out there and give it all you got the opening shift.
Well, you can't ask for any more as a scene setter. You have an absolutely frenzied crowd at Civic Arena. You've got Stanley Cup playoff action, a team with its back to the door and on home ice for the first time in the series, having been outscored 15-3 by the Islanders in the first 2 games on Long Island. One thing we also should point out is a week ago tomorrow, last Sunday, final game of the regular season, these same 2 teams met in a game that was billed as, well, a prelude as to what we could expect in the playoff. And Pittsburgh here on home ice virtually annihilated this Islander hockey team 7-2 in a very physical game as you look at Al Arbor and his New York Islanders hockey team. And a lot of fans here in Pittsburgh, I think, really got worked up over that. But they may have brought the Islanders back down to earth because the Islanders have controlled play here in the playoffs. Right now, let's all enjoy together our national anthem. officials tonight, Ron Hogarth, the referee, Ron Hazeltine and Wayne Bonney are the linesmen. Well, this has got to pump everybody up, and I wonder how much it pumped the Islanders up to play in front of its crowd like this. Billy Smith, who's been brilliant for the Islanders in this series. Those are his lifetime playoff stats. 2.73 goals again. Michel Dion will be in goal tonight for the Pittsburgh Penguins, and he has his entire statistic tied up in the first 2 games of this series. He's allowed 15 goals in 2 games. We're ready to go. Oh, listen to this crowd. Everybody is ready to take on the Islanders here tonight as they're outnumbered about 16,000 to 20. And the shot is kicked out by Smith with the game just fresh underway. And the forechecking pressure of a very physical Pittsburgh hockey team taking it to the Islanders in their own zone. Remember, it was early in the first period in both of the opening games of this series that the Islanders were able to jump out to comfortable leads and coast in. So, Gary Green, I would expect that the first 5 to 10 minutes of this game is going to tell an awful lot about what we might expect tonight.
Well, I think it will. Certainly this first shift is some indication as to what this Penguin club is capable perhaps of doing.
Here come the Islanders now. They've got the 2-on-1. Left wing lead, and Dion is out. The shot is up high and wide from Tonelli. And the puck cleared back to center rink. We're less than a minute old in this game, and we've already seen the tempo. It is a fury pace. Puck chased by Pat Price, the former Islander. He leads it out for Pittsburgh. It's brought out by Malone. He shoots it into the backhand. Smith plays it at the goal line. Takes it around to the corner, picked up by Landry. Out to the point. Well, they're doing some hitting now. Pittsburgh has really taken it to the Islanders on the opening shift. Brought in and checked off with Gillies. The play whistled offside at the Pittsburgh blue line. And the face-off will be in the neutral zone with 18:43 left to play. Eddie Johnston, the coach of these Penguins, who has really been kind of the victim of the press the last couple of days with the criticism of the owner, Edward DeBartolo. His job has been placed in jeopardy by local writers, but Paul Martha, vice president of the Penguins, says not so. Face-off in the Islanders zone. It's going to the corner and played there by Stefan Pearson. Pushes it around the boards, and it's out to the blue line. Brought out over by Gillies. He's worked over. He is really being worked over out there by Peter Lee. Islanders bringing in the shot, deflected wide. They muscle to the corner. Good check by Paul Baxter, the second most penalized player in the NHL. He really took down Brian Sutter. There's a shot turned out off the pipe by Dion. Gillies again in the circle. His shot again turned out by Dion. Here comes Pittsburgh. The Penguins led by Bullard. His shot is up high. And it comes off the board to the near side. Brent Sutter has it, and he'll bring it away to the boards on the near wing. Puck clears all the way to center ice. Brought in for the shot, ridden up on Smith. The shot taken by Hotham, and it comes to the boards. Cleared back out, and it's Pittsburgh trying to keep it in. They can't. It's controlled by Ferguson. Dumped right back in, following the check. Hotham got it in. Billy Smith behind, shovels it around the boards. And they've got to tie it up. We'll get a whistle for a face-off, and so with no score, 17:29 left in period 1 for our local affiliates. We'll pause now. You're watching the Stanley Cup playoffs on the USA Cable Network.
Most attractive. Right now, there is a selection from just about every divisional semifinal, but USA Network cameras will be televising a Game 5. Check local listings and local cable operators to find out which game we'll be doing Tuesday night. And stay with USA as we bring you divisional finals, conference finals, and the Stanley Cup finals all the way to the end. The official network of the National Hockey League is USA Network.
Back to live action, and the Islanders own the puck. They're in their own zone. Pump at the center rink. Shot in by Goring, last year's MVP in the Stanley Cup playoff series. Islanders putting the pressure on. Turned out by Dion. The Islanders, despite their 12-goal margin in the first 2 games, have been very complimentary toward Dion. And it's a 2-on-2. Over the right wing, owning the puck is McLeish, and McLeish shot gets away, but it's wide. He got nailed on the boards as he tried to pull the trigger. McLeish, by the way, by far and away the highest scoring player on the ice in the playoffs. He has 54 goals in Stanley Cup action. Puck is dumped back into the Islanders zone. Played off the boards in the corner. Good move in there. Islanders will bring it out. On to the right wing. Centering pass. They bat it all the way into the corner. Good, solid hitting. Oh, you can hear that on the boards in the corner. Penguins have a potential 4-on-2. Skating it out. Boutet with 2 goals, both on power play. Right wing lead. Oh, they overskated. They've blown the whistle. Can you imagine, Gary? They had the 4-on-2 break, couldn't time it, bringing it in. There's Al Arbor, the Islanders coach. He has to wonder if this is the same Pittsburgh team they're playing tonight.
Well, I think, Dick, certainly Al Arbor's had enough experience, and he's faced with enough teams that want to knock this Islander team off that he's probably just trying to cool the guys, keep them confident, play as hard as they can every shift. Gradually, Pittsburgh might lose a little of this momentum.
Ryan Trottier. Going to go over and check on that glass. One of the byproducts of this kind of a checking game is the fact that they have been dealing the rink quite a blow. This telecast is presented by authority of the National Hockey League and is presented solely for the private non-commercial use of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, retransmission, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of the National Hockey League is strictly prohibited. Face off outside the Islanders' blue line. Pulled neatly away to the center of the rink and played by the Penguins to the corner. And they've got a whistle. We're going to do it all over again. Andre Saint Laurent was in the face-off, and he's one of the better men with a stick on a face-off. And there's Rod Schutt, very talented winger for Pittsburgh. High-scoring winger, and he's a guy they've got to get on the scoreboard if they're going to try to put themselves back into this playoff. If you think being down 2-0 is an impossible task, well, it was in 1975, the only other time these two teams have met in a Stanley Cup playoff action. But Pittsburgh got out to a 3-0 lead in a best-of-7, and then the Islanders won the next 4. So it can be done. But remember, this is a different Islanders team tonight. They're 2-time defending Cup champions. Delay offside. They won't blow the whistle as the Islanders clear it back out. It's played by Pat Price. Pittsburgh will bring it up and in. Saint Laurent brings it in. Poke checked away as he came over the line. And right now, both teams are really just doing some good checking. Gary, how would you analyze right now the way these two teams are playing?
Certainly Paul Baxter out there is one of the heavier forecheckers for the Pittsburgh club.
He's a big guy. They got it on the board. There's a little bit of pushing and shoving going on, nothing serious, and we're going to tie it up for a face-off in the New York Islanders zone. 15-17 to go, period 1, no score. So with no score on the board, we'll return to Pittsburgh right after this. Face-off will be above the circle to the right of Billy Smith in the Islanders zone. No score, period 1. Dick Carlson with Gary Green coming your way from the Civic Center in Pittsburgh. Game 3 of this semifinal Stanley Cup series between the Penguins and the Islanders. Here comes Pittsburgh, 3-on-3. And whoa, Billy Smith knocked his stick. It's cleared away by defense. All the way to the point. That slap shot disarmed Billy Smith. And it rides right past Dion to the corner. Good check on the boards. Solid slap shot from Mike Bullard. Absolutely disarmed Billy Smith. Islanders keep the pressure on. Loose puck and diving on the puck is Dion. Face off in the Pittsburgh zone. That slap shot from the blue line was deflected, and Dion made a nice move.
Certainly, Dick, we saw play going from one end to another there. Certainly, the Pittsburgh Penguins had an excellent chance. And then the Islanders turned around and came right down. Here we see a picture of Michel Dion, who has got to be wondering. He's only played 2 playoff games in the National Hockey League, and certainly tonight he's hoping for a much better goals against average than he's had in the past 2 games.
Dion, of course, #1 goaltender for the Penguins this season, getting his first NHL Stanley Cup action with a 7.50 goals against average through 2 games. He has really been peppered by the Islanders. Goring is in for the faceoff for the Islanders. He's in there against Paul Gardner. We're going to get it all over again. Controlled by Price, who'll take it behind the Pittsburgh net. 14.5 minutes to play. We're in period number 1. Lead pass up the middle, gets away. Played by the defense, shot back in. Price in the corner. Pulls it away. It's controlled by the Islanders and cleared back out of the zone. All the way into the corner. Played off the board by Morrow, the former Olympian. And he shoots it back off his own net. Very tough play. And in front of the net, a great hit put on by Bob Bourne as he took Rick Kehoe out of the slot. The Islanders are so good at that. Into the left circle. The shot is wide as Dion had come out to cut down the angle. Brought back out on the wing. This is Boutet. Slap shot, and it's turned out by Smith. Played on the wing, and it's loose to the blue line. It straddles the line and tapped out of the zone. Left wing lead. Brought in. The shot is faked and then batted away by Dion. Good shot opportunity from the corner. Boutet, he owns the puck. Centers it away. And they dump it in. Played in the corner by Gord Lane, who quickly leads it out on the wing. Looking for the right wing. Brought up and brought in by Merrick, and it's saved by Dion. Dion has really been tested so far in this game.
Dick, an excellent opportunity there by Wayne Merrick.
Wayne Merrick for the New York Islanders. Let's take a look at that play again, Gary.
Wayne Merrick having possession. You know, he came in, he didn't really get the shot off that he wanted to get. Dion going down, making the good block save, but I think Merrick's probably a little upset at himself at having not gotten a better shot off than he really did.
Gary, if I'm not mistaken, one criticism of Dion has been that he commits too early, and that he can be open to a shoulder fake to some kind of a deke that can pull him a little bit out of position, and if a player is patient with the shot, he can usually find the upper shelf.
Well, he has a problem of going down a little too early at times, but I think that certainly that's something EJ is constantly working with him on.
All right, here's the Penguins. They bring it up in. It's controlled by Rod Schutt. Moves it across for the shot, batted out. Good shot by Hoffman that goes to the corner. He's nailed on the board. Puck is on the boards in the corner, and we've got a whistle. And I believe we've got our first penalty coming up in the hockey game. Ron Hogarth, the referee, heads over to the scorer's table, and this one should be against the Islanders. It is. Time of the penalty is 7:03, period number 1. Heading for the box is Mike McEwen. So with no score and 12:57 remaining for our local affiliates, we'll pause now. You're watching Stanley Cup Playoff Hockey on the USA Cable Network.
Who says there's no more college basketball? The NCAA championship didn't end this season, as USA Network will show you on Tuesday and Wednesday. It's the Aloha Classic from tranquil Honolulu, Hawaii. The best seniors in college basketball will assemble for 2 games beginning Tuesday night at 11:30 Eastern, 8:30 Pacific. And on Wednesday night at 10:30 Eastern, 7:30 Pacific. The Aloha Classic coming your way on the USA Cable Network.
All right, power play for the Penguins. They've been successful 2 out of 10 times here in this playoff action. Each team with the same percentage in the power play. And both of those power play goals have been by the guy skating over the net, number 15. Boutet is on the right wing. He has both power play goals, and now he owns the puck. Rips it in from center ice. Letting it go along the boards. They center right in front. Almost deflected by Gardner. Played by Adam into the corner. Picked up loosely in the corner. Kehoe. They move it back around to the near boards. Shot down to the corner. Gardner lets it go. Pumped around. Played by Adam. And Goring is there. Picked up by Gardner. Gardner looking for help. Back out to Hotham on the right point. He owns the puck. Back into the corner. They move it around pretty well. Boutet. Both of his goals in this playoff on this power play. It's sent it across by Carlisle. Scrambled in the slot. Loose puck. Shoveled to the blue line. Penguins keep it in. Hotham goes back to Gardner. Pulls it in deep. They try to center it right in front of Scramble. Kehoe can't get there. Loose puck in the slot. Batted loose to the right circle. Hotham is there to control. 51 seconds in the Pittsburgh power play. Scoreless tie. Ripped away and deflected back out of the zone. And the Penguins, Randy Carlisle, has to come play it. Gary, your assessment of the Pittsburgh power play.
Well, the Pittsburgh power play certainly, Dick,
had some excellent pressure there. They really center around their quarterback, Randy Carlisle, on the point. Randy Carlisle certainly being the guy that they try to feed the most.
Pat Price now on for Carlisle, dumps it in. 22 seconds in the power play. Loose on the board. They scramble. Puck cleared back out of the zone. That's center rink. They're going to scramble for the puck. Bob Bourne digging. He can't get there. And it's back to Pittsburgh. 12 seconds. Price moved to the right wing. Bullard tries to shoot it down the board, but he's nailed. And Bob Bourne ices it back out of the zone. That'll kill off the power play. McEwen is ready. The gate comes open. The teams are back at equal strength. So the Penguins put on some pressure in the first power play opportunity in this game. They shoot it back into the corner. Played by Ferguson. Rips it all the way around the boards. Centering pass. They can't set it up. It's a knee-high pass and waved off by Ferguson. Islanders bring it out. Driving by Gilbert all the way to the corner. And there's a good check on the board. The hitting is really picking up between these two teams. Good stick handling by the Pittsburgh Penguins. Bullard as they clear it out. Ripped from center ice and cleared away by Billy Smith. Loose puck to the corner, and the Islanders set up the play again. It's center ice. This time it's 3-on-3. They wave along and bring it in, but the play is offside. Outside and a good check put on the boards, and neither team right now particularly getting along.
Dick, there's certainly been some excellent hitting thus far in this game. Here we see a guy that doesn't do a lot of hitting, but boy, he sure does a lot of other things, and that's putting the puck in the net. Mike Bossy, a guy that the Islanders are really counting on to lead them to a hopeful third Stanley Cup.
Also point out it was Bossy who was injured last Sunday in that last regular season meeting between Pittsburgh and the Islanders as he was taken out in the corner in the second period by Pat Price. They thought it was a knee injury, but they said it was all right. He hasn't missed a beat. He's been back in when the playoffs started, but the physical nature of play was indicated by Pittsburgh last Sunday night. And Pittsburgh really didn't follow through that much on that style of play in the first two games of this playoff series, but they have really come back to play that style here tonight. Eddie Johnston obviously had this kind of a discussion with his team.
Well, there will be no doubt about that. The pressure is not only on Eddie Johnston, but his whole hockey club tonight to play the way they're capable of playing.
Puck wheel around the boards by Gordy Lane. Gordy Lane behind the goal, puts on the check. Boutet digging forward in the corner for Pittsburgh on the boards, double teamed, still muscling for it, centers it to Gardner. Gardner moves across the mouth of the goal, shoots, scrambles, Smith clears it away. Good effort by Billy Smith, who has been sensational in this playoff series. Delay offside, there's the whistle, and we're going to bring it back for a draw. 9:37 to go in period number one. In a 0-0 contest, Gardner and Lane, who went at it behind the Islander net moments ago, exchanging some dissertation on how to play the game.
Here's a guy, Dick, that certainly had a difficult year, not through the number of points, but certainly as we see, he's wearing that face mask. A much publicized incident between he and Jimmy Mann in Winnipeg. Received a broken jaw. We're going to see the scramble that's occurring at the Islander zone. Paul Gardner, one of the greatest guys at being able to hang on to that possession of the puck in front of the net. He's really, that's the part that he's the trickiest at doing, and that's right in front of the net with possession of the puck. He's dangerous there.
Made a great move, and of course a very heady move. It shows his experience, and you as a coach would look for that from a player. How do they handle themselves when the heat's on?
Well, that's when it's most important. They've got to be able to perform under pressure.
Gardner leads it out. It's deflected in the zone. Kehoe went in after it, but the Islanders get it right back out. Price puts it across the rink. Dumped ahead and stolen again by the Islanders and shot in by Dwayne Sutter. And there's an elbow at center ice and a scramble. Team change on the fly. Brought up by Pittsburgh and dumped into the Islanders zone. Well, an unwritten rule in hockey is if you're going to throw an elbow into somebody, don't do it in front of the other guy's bench. Good hitting in the corner. And the puck cleared out. Islanders in it, and they get it deflected right back. Islanders again at center ice. Slapped in by Price. They're going to whistle it offside. Bring it out for a face-off with no score. We're live from the Civic Arena in Pittsburgh. And we'll return right after this. Face-off will be near center rink. 8:36 to go, period number one. No score. And I think this would be the right time to say the Islanders and Penguins battling here in Pittsburgh. And they are that. They are really going at each other here in what could be the final game of the year for Pittsburgh, and it could be the final game of the series and propel the Islanders into the next round, the finals in their division. Jump right back in, and there's a good heavy check again at the blue line. Gilbert shoots it up the wing. Waved at, they keep it in. Fans are really into this game. Bringing it out now is Ferguson. Rips it from the blue line, broken up by the defense. He was taken down hard. Puck still alive in the Islanders zone. Look at Billy Smith out doing some slashing. Smith, the goaltender, came out, put a pretty good slash on Mike Bullard. As they're really hitting around the net. Islanders clear it back out of the zone. Puck is brought ahead by Goring. 1-on-2, great move, and it's puck checked away by Price. There's a penalty coming up. Penalty coming up. It's a tripping call being indicated here by Ron Hogarth, the referee, and the fans sure don't like it, nor do the Penguins. The first penalty against Pittsburgh. And it comes 12-17 into period one. Pat Price will go off for tripping, and the Islanders have the power play.
Dick, the fans may not like that the least bit, but it was certainly a very legitimate call. Here we see Pat Price being really taking the feet right out from underneath of Goring. Otherwise, Goring would have been in home free.
On the other hand, Price made a great move poke checking that puck away. He just couldn't get his stick back in time.
It's one of those penalties, Dick, where as a coach you say, well, you don't like taking the minor, you don't like giving them the power play, but on the other hand, you don't like seeing a guy like Butch Goring walking in on your goaltender without a defenseman in sight.
So now the Islanders, who have been successful 2 out of 10 times in this playoff series in the power play, have the man advantage. Jerry, we'll see how good Pittsburgh is now at containing what is generally considered to be one of the best power plays in hockey.
Well, it definitely is. Pittsburgh is not known for a great penalty-killing team, 77% over the course of the season. We'll have to see how they do tonight on this department.
Puck shot back around the boards. St. Laurent dumps it back out of the zone and gets through a double team as it clears the length of the rink. Racing for the puck, Dennis Potvin. He gets it out quickly, and they're going to try to set it up very quickly. Tonelli, poke checked away. St. Laurent moves it around the boards, and Pittsburgh very content to kill some time. 1:35 in the power play. Up and in. Going down the boards comes Trottier. He is stuck in the corner. Going down hard. Another check in the corner. Puck still stays alive. Trottier, and the shot is wide. Out to the point, controlled by Potvin. Potvin top of the slot. Turns, and the shot is broken up. Turned away, and there's a whistle next to the net. Ron Hogarth again is indicating he wants the gates open in the penalty box. This may be coincidentals here. Carlisle is getting shoved around and doing shoving back. We'll see who they indicate now. Penalties will be handed out. 12:59. We're going to get the detail on this when we come back. In a scoreless battle on the power play for our local affiliates, we'll pause now. You're watching Stanley Cup playoff hockey on the USA Cable Network.
Last year in the Islanders' second push to winning the Stanley Cup, the MVP of the playoffs, the Conn Smythe Trophy winner, was Butch Goring, the man who wears that old battered helmet that goes back to when he was an 11-year-old player. In 1978, he won the Masterton Trophy, and he's also won the Lady Byng Trophy. He's won many trophies and many accolades in the NHL. He'll be with my guest at the end of the first period. In addition to that, Gary Green and I will also talk about Stanley Cup playoff news.
Coincidental minors handed out to Tonelli of the Islanders, Carlisle of Pittsburgh. 2 minutes each for high sticking. Power play advantage remains in the possession of the New York Islanders. With 1:15 remaining and the penalty on Price, and Pittsburgh clears it out of the zone. 6:53 left in period one. Islanders bring it out. Morrow dumps it in. Bumped around the board, shoveled back out of the zone. Look at the stick by Gillies. He's really doing a job on Ferguson. Snow now as Ferguson blasts in. They're going to go in there. Boutet charging through a couple of people. And the puck comes loose in the corner. Tonelli picks it up. Boutet and Ferguson came in like two football players on that one.
Well, certainly Pat Boutet, a very aggressive player, and he doesn't like to really have to take second seat to anyone in the aggressive department.
30 seconds in the power play for the Islanders. They really had but one good shot opportunity. Lead comes on the right wing. Brought in down the board. Backhander turned out neatly by Dion. And St. Laurent clears it back out of the zone. 14 seconds in the power play. Potvin, who at one time this season was rumored to be on the trading block, leads the power play out of his own zone, but turns it over. And it's dumped right back by Randy Boyd. Penalty has expired. Price comes back out of the box. Teams are at equal strength, and each team has killed off the other's power play once. Penguins in their own zone. Pulled on the wing. Kehoe can't clear it out. And it's loose at the corner. Look out. From point-blank range, Dion makes the save. The shot by Anders Kallur. And Dion went down at point-blank range to stop it. 5:24 left.
I think certainly Dion is ready for this game tonight. We see him go down, make the initial save, but he got right back up on his feet quickly again and really robbed Anders Kallur, who thought he was going to be able to pick up that rebound and catch Dion down.
Great move here. Dion going down to make the play, and then at point-blank range, he got a rebound. And Dion has made at least 3 outstanding saves here in period number 1 to keep the Penguins in a scoreless tie. Islanders have outshot Pittsburgh 8-6 thus far in the game. 5:24 left to go in period number 1. In case you missed it earlier this afternoon, the Rangers beat Philadelphia 4-3 to take a 2-1 advantage in that best-of-5 semifinal. Good hit at the blue line and a whistle. Wayne Bonney got nailed.
I think even the poor linesmen are kind of getting abused tonight in this physical contest.
Pinelli in the penalty box. He and Carlisle went off coincidentally for high sticking. Face off outside the Pittsburgh blue line. Bob Bourne pulls it across. Picked up by Gilbert. Nailed to the boards as he got it away. Penguins in their own zone. Almost stolen as it's cleared the center ring. Pittsburgh breaking out. 3-on-2. They bring it up and in. On the left wing, a centering pass through the crease, and it's deflected up in the crowd. As the pass came from Rod Schutt, Billy Smith successfully broke it up, and Carlisle and Pinelli are allowed out of the penalty box now as we have a stop and play with 5 minutes to go in period 1. A good shot at Gord Lane. Talented defenseman for the Islanders.
Gord Lane was a former player for the Washington Capitals when I was there. Certainly a very big, strong player, and the Islanders really utilize him in aggressive situations, expect him to be a good defensive defenseman, and certainly lay on the body in front of that net and in the corners.
Islanders do a great job keeping the alley clear out in front of Billy Smith. They've gone after those big defensemen, fellas who can move bodies away. Also, they've gone after the players who will go in the corners. They're probably right now as balanced and complete a team as you could ever put together in the NHL. They've got something for everybody. They've got the big guys to go in the corner. They've got the high-scoring wingers. They've got the big defensemen and talented goal. Puck cleared to the corner. That's why they are 2-time defending NHL Stanley Cup champion in search of their 3rd. Centering pass is taken by Smith and shoveled behind. Picked up in the corner by Bourne. He pays the price. Boutet is there along with Gardner. They muscle for the puck on the boards, and here they come. The Islanders with Bob Bourne leading the way. He'll bring it up, cuts to the wing. Moves in and around all the way to the corners. He's got nothing with him. And behind the goal, Goring. Goring stripped to the puck and is let out on the wing. Pulled to the point, but kept in by Gilbert. Centers it away in front. Goring stripped to the puck. Here comes Boutet. He's got a man ahead. Lead on the wing. Gardner looks for the man trailing. Moves to the circle. Muscling. Drop pass. Pulled out from behind. Islanders lead it right back out. Even though they're beat, you can see how they are well coached and drilled. They came back well. And Pittsburgh could not catch up in time to set the play. Puck cleared by the Islanders out of their own zone. It's stolen, brought up and in by McLeish. He's got that patented heavy slap shot, gloved and cleared by Smith. McLeish still has one of the better slap shots in the game. Breakaway, 2-on-1. Islanders bring it in. On the wing, down deep. Save by Dion. Great play as they brought it all the way in, and Tonelli couldn't find the open cage. Slap shot is turned aside off the stick of Bullard, and it goes in, kept in by Pittsburgh. Heavy checking on the board, picked off on the wing. Ferguson digging for the puck on the boards. It's kept in by Pittsburgh. They just dump it along, and the Islanders will clear it out. Pittsburgh right now really putting on some physical play in the forechecking area. Dion plays it off the boards. Islanders controlling the attacking zone, and it's near the goal line, but Pittsburgh again controls the puck. Good stick handling by Ferguson. Brings it up 4-on-4 and shovels it in. They'll go in after it. Tonelli behind his own goal. Puts it around the boards. Puck is controlled by the Islanders and shoveled back in the zone. Pittsburgh controlling 3-on-3. Look for the man to trail. Left wing. It's shot. Loose puck scramble. Score! On the rebound, Kevin McClellan. The Islanders are going to claim that it may have been kicked in the net. They've waved off the goal. Let's go back and look at it. The shot from the left point is gloved and then misplayed by Smith. McClellan coming in. And it's difficult to see from that angle, but it appeared that when he came to a stop in a shower of snow, he may have kicked it in. The slap shot was by Rod Shutt. There it is. His stick was never down. So the call by the referee, Ron Hogarth, is a good one. And Pittsburgh has been denied the first counter in this hockey game. It's still a scoreless tie. 2:45 remaining in period number 1. Loose puck to the red line, and it's ripped in by Pittsburgh all the way around as Hockland got it in. Smith almost misplayed that one. Pittsburgh now putting on some heat. They're going to put on a pretty good check in their own zone, taking the man to the board, playing for the puck in their own end. Billies picks it up, looks for a centering pass, shot, score! From right in front, Mike McEwen. And so the Islanders, in patented New York Islanders style, after getting the break in their own end because the goal was disallowed, come right back to the other end and put it in. Let's look at it again. Gillies behind the goal, centering. McEwen, no chance for Dion as he found top shelf left. Time of the goal, 17:36. 1-0 in favor of the Islanders. And the official network of the National Hockey League is bringing you live hockey from Pittsburgh. 1-0 in favor of the Islanders. 2:24 left to go, period 1. Gillies and Dwayne Sutter give an assist on the goal. And McEwen picking up his first goal here in the Stanley Cup playoffs of 1982. Pittsburgh trailing now 1-0 after a moment ago. They thought they had a 1-0 advantage. Islanders control. Gilbert brings it up. Straddles as he's poke checked away. The Islanders have to clear. They'll do it all over again. Bourne from a sharp angle, and it's wide. Out to the blue line. They keep it alive in the Pittsburgh zone. Pat Price misses Ferguson. Kept in by Gilbert. Played in the corner. Shot up the wing. Brought out by Bullard. He's poke checked off the puck. And it's offside. Offside near center rink. 1:41 left to go. 1-0 Islanders. The official network of the National Hockey League is bringing you live hockey from Pittsburgh. More after this.
I'm very handy thanks to 3-in-1 oil.
It fights rust.
Lubricates.
Stops squeaks.
3-in-1 oil is so easy, even you guys can use it. I do home repairs with plastic wood. I fixed my table, molded my hutch, filled holes in my paneling. Plastic wood is so easy, even you guys can use it.
Blazers worn by our announcers are provided by Levi's Sportswear, makers of the Levi's Action Blazer, perhaps the most comfortable blazer a person can wear.
Puck is live at the Pittsburgh line. Baxter, Pat Price, he dumps it in. McLeese digging in after it, but he's going to be the second man there in the corner. Picked up by Bullard. Loose puck in front. Islanders have the right man in the right place at the right time. They play position hockey. Ripped by Potvin and off the glove of Dion, but high. Pat Price in his own zone. Leads it up the middle. Bullard brings it ahead. It's 3-on-4. Fakes the shot and slides it in. It'll be played by Keller, and it comes all the way out to center rink. Less than a minute to go in period number 1. McLeish just bats it in. Played by Potvin. Checked by Gardner as he gets it ahead on the wing. 3-on-3. Islanders whistled offside at the Pittsburgh blue line with 42 seconds remaining in period 1. New York on top 1-0 on McEwen's first goal of the playoff. Assisted by Dwayne Sutter and Clark Gillies. That's the only tally thus far. Although Pittsburgh thought they had it in the net when Kevin McClellan got it behind Billy Smith in a prey of snow, but apparently, in the eyes of referee Ron Hogarth, he had kicked it in off his skate, and the goal was disallowed. There's Dwayne Sutter, who assisted on that goal. One of the many of the Sutters in the NHL, and more still coming. Matter of fact, they have a younger brother who is rumored to be first draft choice caliber. And those in the know say, among others, the Washington Capitals are interested. From the red line, the Islanders cruising in. Boutet playing his man off, and they scramble all the way to the corner so that the Penguins can bring it out. Gardner at center ice looks for a left winger, but Boutet was detained coming up. Puck is brought back out by New York. 22 seconds to go in the period. Pittsburgh now, if they hurry, can go 2-on-2. Penalty coming up against the Islanders. They had a potential breakaway, but a man tripped up at center ice. Delay penalty as Dion is out of the net. The extra attacker is on, but they give it away. Gillies gets there, and a whistle with 8 seconds to go in the period. Gillies will go off for tripping at 19:52. As he took a man out on a potential breakaway set up by Pittsburgh, Gillies sits down. 19:52 into the first period, tripping the infraction. Penguins with their second power play in the first period, and this one, unless they score in the next 8 seconds, will carry over with a hefty 1:52 remaining into the second period of play. Coming up in the intermission, Al Trotwig and Gary Green will be visiting about the first period of play and also talking to Butch Goring of the New York Islanders. So stay tuned. You'll be listening to the man voted MVP of last year's Stanley Cup Championship. Puck alive at center rink. Clock counting down in the period as it's shot in. 1 second to go. There's the horn. And the first period has come to an end. The New York Islanders have a 1-0 lead at the end of one period of play, as the Pittsburgh Penguins came out and took it to the Islanders. In the face of criticism from their owner and criticism from the press, this is a different Penguins team tonight. Michel Dion was brilliant in net for the Penguins in the first period. Shots on goal, Islanders 11, Penguins 8 in period number 1. And there's the story. New York Islanders 1, Pittsburgh Penguins 0. We'll return with our between period activities right after this. From Civic Center in Pittsburgh, prior to period number 2, looking at some great hockey tonight. The New York Islanders lead Pittsburgh 1-0 after 1 in a wild first period of play. The lone goal from McEwen to the Islanders, his third career playoff goal against the Pittsburgh Penguins at 17:36 from Gillies and Dwayne Sutter. And that has been the lone tally so far in the hockey game, as the Islanders have outshot the Penguins 11-8. in the first period of play. Let's go back and take a look at the goal by McEwen. That's 17:36, and it came just 21 seconds after Pittsburgh had a goal waved off at the other end. It was 0-0 from behind the net. Clark Gillies does a great job setting it up as Sutter digs it out in the corner. Here's Gillies around the goal. McEwen in front, and Dion in net has no chance as he finds top shelf.
And it's 1-0 in favor of the New York Islanders. We'll get a look at that again. Now, Gillies coming across your screen from behind the net. Now you're looking what Dion sees. What chance does he have? As McEwen wasted no time pulling the trigger. And it's 1-0 Islanders at the end of one period of play. Gillies at the very end of the period at 19:52 went off for tripping, and so the Pittsburgh Penguins will have the power play for 1 minute 52 seconds to get things underway here in period number 2. Al Arbor of the two-time defending Stanley Cup champion New York Islanders. And by the way, the Islanders, if they go all the way this year, would only be the third team in history ever to win 3 successive Stanley Cup championships. Billy Smith, who has been brilliant in this semifinal Patrick Division Stanley Cup series for the Islanders, he has been brilliant, and of course he's been outstanding all season long. One of the big success stories for the Islanders. And Dion, who was elected by the press and the fans as the team most valuable player for Pittsburgh this year. Butch Goring, whom you heard from in the first intermission with Al Trotwig, last year's MVP in the Stanley Cup. An interesting story about Goring, too, because when he was traded by the Kings to the Islanders, he really felt like he was the forgotten man, like he was being downplayed on such a talented team. And Gary Green, as you slide back in beside me, Butch Goring showed they were all wrong. He was a great player on a great team.
Well, he's certainly a guy that was a key guy for the New York Islanders when they won the Cup. Here's a guy that you don't want to get mad too often.
Clark Gillies sits in the penalty box for the Islanders, and he's the reason Pittsburgh has the man advantage as we get ready now to begin play in period number 2. Pittsburgh came out smoking in period 1. With all the controversy, their owner, Edward DeBartolo, had said that he would refund ticket money for anybody who didn't want to come tonight. He could understand their frustration after being blitzed 8-1 and 7-2 in the first 2 games of this best-of-5 semifinal series. But only 14 fans took him up on it at last count. And there's a near-packed house, a wild crowd here tonight in support of their Penguins, who trail 1-0 with the Islanders out shooting Pittsburgh 11-8 in the first period of play. We're ready now for second period action. Referee Ron Hogarth to drop the puck, and we're ready to go. Man advantage power play belongs to Pittsburgh, and the puck is cleared in by Carlisle. Islanders immediately dump it out the length of the rink, turned out by Dion. Carlisle leads it out on the wing, and it's going to be spun around with good pressure being put on right now by the Islanders in a penalty killing situation. Gary, this is a little bit more aggressiveness than you ordinarily see from the penalty killing unit.
Well, the Islanders are well known for this, though, Dick.
And it may have cost them. There's a penalty being called. Another infraction being indicated against the New York Islanders, and it comes only 33 seconds in. Potvin will go off for tripping 33 seconds into the period, and it's a 2-man power play advantage.
We're watching the replay here, Dick. We see the infraction that was called. Dennis Potvin maybe just got his leg up a little bit too far there, and as a result was called for tripping.
He went in looking like it was going to be a hip check, but it turned out that he got the leg out and tripped, and so now Pittsburgh, trailing 1-0, has a golden opportunity with a 2-man power play advantage for 1 minute and 19 seconds. What do you think Pittsburgh is going to do now from a strategy point of view?
Well, certainly Pittsburgh Penguins really like to set the play up, and they love to use basketball picks. And they're going to try to eliminate at least one of those defensemen right here. Carlisle's apt to be the guy that's going to get the shot away.
Langevin goes all the way around with the puck. It's taken by the Islanders. Stefan Pearson, and he puts it out of the zone. So the Pittsburgh Penguins are going to have to start this 2-man advantage in their own end. They can't afford to waste much time because that 2-man advantage will tick down. 58 seconds remaining in that one. Centering pass comes all the way past Boutet to the point. Controlled by Hotham out at the right point. Skate to the circle, take the shot, kicked out by Smith. Boutet is there. Let's start it all over again. Remember, 2-man advantage. They move it down deep. Gardner centers, but it's a knee-high pass. Picked up by Carlisle in the left circle. Centering pass, poked right back to the corner. Look out now. They almost gave it away. Boutet has it back. 30 seconds in the 2-man advantage. Slap shot from the near side. Broken up played loosely by Pearson. He gets it back out of the zone, and that's going to make it tough to connect on the two-man advantage. Partial change of personnel for both squads now. Whoa, they give it away. Picked up by Bob Bourne. Bourne moving left, and way out of his net was Dion to make the stop. They've got Bourne out of position now. Baxter brings it up. He's poke checked off on the boards, and it's on the boards. Gardner and Bourne to dig. Houtet goes down to the corner. One-man power play advantage as Gillies is out. Left point, Price. Right point, Baxter. Into the circle, jumps his stick. And it'll be Pearson again battling and gets it muscled out of the zone. And you're looking at the Penguins, who don't even have a good shot on goal yet in this power play advantage, and the fans are showing their lack of appreciation. Baxter on right wing. 12 seconds left in the power play. Morrow pulls it around the board near the point, kept in by Baxter. All the way around behind the net. Penalty about to expire. The Islanders now have killed off a two-man and one-man power play advantage. Teams at equal strength. From the point shot. Oh, it's off the post on a deflection. Loose up the slot on the rebound. It's picked up and skated out by Carroll. And it's dumped in the zone. Pittsburgh clears it back out. Offside. Will face off. 17:09 left to go, second period. Islanders on top, 1-0. And for our local affiliates, we'll pause now. You're watching Stanley Cup playoff hockey on the USA Cable Network.
Friday night Major Indoor Soccer League action moves out of its usual spot for a special edition next Saturday night. It'll come your way from the Wild Checkerdome in St. Louis as the runner-up champion Steamers haul out the welcome mat for the Wings from Wichita. The scoring will be on the upswing in this one, so tune in for a special edition of Friday Night MISL Soccer next Saturday. St. Louis and Wichita, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific, here on USA.
Back to live action as Smith had the puck in his own zone, cleared it out. A whistle on the play. And the faceoff will be inside the Islanders' blue line. Gary Green, if you're looking for any kind of a sign of what the Penguins are going to have to do, it's an uphill battle. You can't give away two-man advantages like that.
No, you certainly can't. And on the other hand, the Islanders really gives them that little bit more confidence that they already had. Andre St. Laurent, as we saw this, just a good acquisition by the Pittsburgh Penguins just near the end of the season, coming from the Los Angeles Kings on waivers.
Puck cleared back out of the zone. Randy Carlyle to St. Laurent, who puts it in. Oh, they ride on the board. Gord Lane taken hard to the board by Rod Schutt. Good scramble on the boards, and they tie it up for a face-off. It'll be in the Islanders' zone. The kind of thing that you look for in Stanley Cup play, particularly Brian Trottier. This was his first 50-goal season, but he's been a premier player for the Islanders for several years. You look for those guys who can go into the corner and do the muckraking in the corner. That's where you're going to find your goals. And Pittsburgh tonight has shown a willingness to go in there and battle for the puck. We'll see if it pays off before the evening is out. Carlisle moves it around. Hotham up on the wing. Back into the Islanders zone, and Islanders control the puck. Shot right back out of the zone. Trottier doing the back checking. Loose center ring. Carlisle moving in the right direction. Tries to dump it in. Gets it back off board. Lane centers it away to St. Laurent. The save. Rebound. Save again. And the puck throws it in the crease. Will face it off.
Dick, an excellent play by Randy Carlisle. He really saw what was happening. That's what Carlisle is so good at. Here we see Carlisle in the picture. He's certainly a player that the Pittsburgh Penguins have got to have a lot out of this game, and you can bet that he's going to see a lot of ice time in tonight. Again, Carlisle had just previously fed that pass to St. Laurent. St. Laurent coming in. Billy Smith is down. He's not quite sure where the puck is, but he's going to try and cover as much of that crease as he possibly can. Here we see from another angle, St. Laurent coming in, getting off a wrist shot. Billy Smith making the first initial stop, but then he kind of lost sight of it.
Face-off will be to the glove of Billy Smith. 16:03 left. We're in the second period. 1-0 Islanders. That's deflected from the point, and Smith gloves and cleared. Hot band cleared, but it's kept in. Penguins now playing some very aggressive hockey. They've got it on the back boards behind goal, but it's still alive. There's the whistle. Ron Hogarth says we'll face it off again.
Well, I don't know whether I've seen a game this year that has had as much hitting in it as we've had thus far this game. We see Eddie Johnson kind of scratching his chin. He's not sure quite what to think of his Pittsburgh team right now. They came out so well in that first period. Seem to have lost a little momentum, and that two-man power play advantage is, I think, maybe is what has slowed them down for the time being.
That has to hurt. Scores of other games. Minnesota leads Chicago 3-1 in the midway point of period number 1. Minnesota fighting for its playoff life. It's the stadium in Chicago tonight. Puck is pulled to the point. The shot by Price turned out by Smith. He gambles. Open net, played off by defense. Great play made there by Dennis Potvin as Smith was caught out of net. Trottier offside coming in. Will face off on the offside outside the Pittsburgh line. 15:32 remaining in the second period. Islanders on top 1-0. Other scores in the playoffs tonight. Late first period, Vancouver and Calgary. They're tied 1-1. In the first period, Buffalo leads Boston 1-0. First period, Quebec 2, Montreal 0. That's all in divisional play in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Semifinal action tonight. They tied up on the boards, and with 15:23 left to go in period number 2, 1-0 Islanders. We'll return to Pittsburgh in just a moment.
Let me tell you something about blue jeans. You get in a jam up here and you got real problems. That's why I always go for the best tools, like this saw and my Levi's blue jeans. You see, tree bark will chew through most anything, but these jeans bite right back. And Levi's blue jeans got a fit that's made for work, and that's real important when the changing room's 200 feet down.
Face-off will be in the Pittsburgh zone. Pittsburgh has outshot the Islanders 6-2 here in the second period of play. 1-0 Islanders lead it. They own the puck in the attacking zone. Potvin shot deflected out wide. Look out up the slot. Morrow kicked out by Dion. Cleared back out of the zone. Islanders playing that great positional play, taken away by Gardner. Gardner in the attacking zone for Pittsburgh, trying to move to the point, and does. Hatham lost it, and the Islanders bring it right back out. Hope to the neutral zone. Pittsburgh owns it. Boutet drops it off. They try to set the play now with methodical precision. Hatham brings it up, takes the shot, brings it up and in. Well, poke checked away as he comes to the slot, and Carlisle has it. Waits for his teammate to clear and flips it in. Morrow is jammed to the boards in the corner after he gets rid of the puck. Potvin leads it out. Right wing lead. Trottier, or rather not Trottier, but instead Dwayne Sutter checked off, loose to the corner. Then there's some good hard hitting in there as Gilbert goes to the board. From the point, the shot is wide. Bob Bourne trying to take it away and does. Walks in front, short side, kicked out. Penguins own it. Up the middle, Penguins own the puck. It's 1-on-3 right now. And a good, solid check put on at the blue line by Langevin. Gilbert pumps it out. Check by Baxter on Goring, who's spun around. St. Laurent pulls it back in his own end. 13:50 remaining, period 2, 1-0 Islanders. Dick Carlson with Gary Green and Al Trotwig from Civic Arena in Pittsburgh. Loose puck center ice. Pittsburgh owns it. Pat Price brings it up, former Islander himself. It's offside, and we'll have a face-off outside the Islander blue line. Right now, it appears the Islanders are showing a great willingness to take it back at Pittsburgh. Pat Price, who will be Al Trotwig's guest in our second intermission, the former Islander, who I'm sure will be talking about that. But a fellow who's been a very valuable acquisition for Pittsburgh, I would say, Gary.
Well, Dick, he's probably also a player right now who really, more than anybody else on the Pittsburgh Penguin team, would like to beat the Islanders.
Well, you'll have a chance to be talking about that with Pat Price in the next intermission. Dion plays it off the boards, and it's whacked. Oh, they can't get it out of the zone. Islanders keep it in. Dion turns it out again. Controlled in the corner by Rod Schutt. Moves it on the right wing. Cleared back out of the zone by Kevin McClellan. Ford Lane slaps it around the boards for the Islanders. Leads it ahead. Shot in by Carroll. Rides around behind the net. Carlisle, and there's the whistle. It's an icing call. With 12:55 left to go in the second period, 1-0 Islanders. For our local affiliates, we'll pause now. You're watching Stanley Cup Playoff Hockey on the USA Cable Network.
More Thursday night NBA action is coming your way this week with an additional contest on Wednesday night. It'll be Larry Bird and the champion Boston Celtics taking on Sidney Moncrief and the Milwaukee Bucks on a special edition Wednesday night beginning at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. On Thursday, the Cleveland Cavaliers try to keep the Detroit Pistons from the playoffs with a contest that tips off at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. 2-for-1 NBA basketball on USA.
Off in the Islander zone to the right of Billy Smith, his stick side. Penguins trailing 1-0. Centering pass off the side of the net. Right in front, shot kicked out by Billy Smith. Man taken down in front. And there's a whistle from referee Ron Hogarth as they sit on the puck. Apparently no penalty will be called. But Dennis Potvin went right in front. And he took one of the Pittsburgh Penguins down hard, Rick McLeish. He really cleaned out the slot.
Well, I think certainly Billy Smith robbed Rick McLeish of a very, almost a goal there.
A great scoring opportunity, not cashed in again. Kennelly behind his own net for the Islanders. Looks for the wing lead, and it's deflected to center rink. Paul Baxter is out there. Price goes back to Baxter. Up on the wing. Ferguson. Mayo does it get to the blue line. They'll tie it up in the corner. Gary, one thing I noticed tonight, as opposed to the first two games, Pittsburgh is trying to skate the puck in with more control tonight than they have in the past, where they've been dumping it in more.
Well, I think that they've obviously seen in the last two games that against the Islander team, they stand up and they take the body so well. Here's a guy, Bullard, that is very capable of carrying that puck rather than shooting it in nearly as much as they've been doing. But, you know, the Islanders stand up, they run that interference at the blue line. The defensemen do stand up well, and they take the body, so it's difficult to carry that puck in over the blue line.
Bullard was elected the Penguins Rookie of the Year, and also to show you his popularity on the team amongst the players, was voted by his teammates as the player's player. Loose to the center. Out to the point. Popham for the shot that is wide. Played off on the far boards. Good hitting, and a penalty being indicated by Ron Hogarth. And it appears Pittsburgh will have the man advantage power play once again. 12:09 remaining in the period. Time for the penalty is 7:51. Langevin heads for the penalty box for tripping. Islanders leading 1-0, and Pittsburgh has been handed still another opportunity with a man advantage to tie the game.
I think here's going to be a perfect opportunity for Pittsburgh to really get back into this hockey game. Their power play hasn't worked up to this point, but right now I'm sure that Eddie Johnson is really trying to give his team that confidence that they've had a good power play during the course of the year. It can work. Maybe a penalty that Langevin shouldn't have given the Pittsburgh team at this point in time.
Boutet is in the center of the power play for Pittsburgh. Kehoe on one wing, Gardner on the other. They got the firepower out there. Puck is cleared back out of the zone. Dion behind his net. You know, while we're waiting for Pittsburgh to bring it up, I don't know if you noticed or not, but I can smell a cigar passing back and forth behind us. It's General Manager Baz Bastine of Pittsburgh doing his pacing.
He's going to put in a lot of miles tonight.
They can't get the puck out of their own end. Pittsburgh now at center rink. Gardner pulled off the puck, taken there by Carlisle. Looks for the lead. Boutet can't handle it, and they still don't have an attack going. 1:20 to go in the power play. Rick McLeish, with 54 goals in his playoff career, leads it out. Boutet wraps it in. Smith sees the enemy, rips it off the glass to the point. McLeish couldn't keep it in. It's cleared back out, and 1 minute even left in the power play with Dave Langevin sitting out for tripping. Puck being brought forward by Rod Schutt. Shovels it in, goes in after he's pulled off the puck and goes down as it's nailed again and iced. Dion now trying to set it up himself. Baxter goes to the left wing. Oh, spun around to the blue line, and McLeish actually pulled the puck himself out of the attacking zone. 28 seconds in the power play, and the Bluebirds are out. Schutt spun around, puck controlled by Pittsburgh behind the net. Schutt couldn't get there. It's taken on the boards. Bullard, he's taken off on the boards, and it's cleared again the length of the rink on net. Dion turns it aside. Saint Laurent will bring it out. Penalty expired. Langevin is out. There's a whistle on the play for a face-off. Teams are at equal strength. Islanders lead 1-0. 10:09 to go, second period. We're live at the Civic Arena in Pittsburgh, and we'll return in just a moment.
I'm Johnny Bench. This is Krylon Spray Paint, the other leading national brand. And here comes my fast pitch, so watch close. Krylon Special Formula goes on smooth, just like a professional finish. And just 12 minutes later, it's dry to the touch. No runs, no drips, no errors. The other brand's still tacky after 1 hour. Let's see it again. Krylon dry after 12 minutes, other brand still tacky after 1 hour. Did you catch that? Krylon, for a smooth, fast professional finish.
1-0 in favor of the Islanders in Pittsburgh midway through the second period. The Islanders can clinch the semifinal series over Pittsburgh with a win tonight. Islanders with the heat on in the Pittsburgh zone. Pat Price for the Penguins, double team. Solid check by Ferguson of the Penguins, centering pass in front. Oh, it's off the pipe. And reaching back is Dion. And Gary, there's the goaltender's friend.
Well, those posts can definitely help you out night after night. But if they're with you, boy, you can turn around and kiss them because they can really get you out of some tough situations.
Tonelli had the heat on in front, but he couldn't get the rebound as it hit the pipe, and Dion smothered it coming back.
See an excellent pass out of the corner to Tonelli. Put on his can, though, wasn't he, Dick?
He sure was. Penalties are being handed out right here. Gord Lane is the Islander without the helmet in the penalty box. And the Penguins also are going to sit one out at 10:10 of the second period. Paul Baxter is sitting it out for Pittsburgh, and now Gord Lane is going to be sent to the dressing room. So that would indicate that it's either a double major or a misconduct. Both Baxter and Lane have been given 10-minute misconducts. Take a look at it again, Gary.
You see, again, as we talked about that beautiful pass out right to Tonelli by Trottier. You know, I've seen that pass time and time again, but now we see him really, he's down. We see Baxter and Trottier in the background, but really we don't know what has really gone on beforehand.
Well, Gord Lane and Paul Baxter have been given the rest of the period off. They have been sent to the dressing room for an early soft drink. Each with 10-minute misconduct. Neither team will skate short-handed, but they'll both be without the respective services of Gord Lane and Paul Baxter for the remainder of the period and for the first 10 seconds of the next period. Pittsburgh breaking out, 2-on-2. The shot taken, and it's turned aside by Smith. Moved away along the board. They're going to put on some pretty good effort. Peter Lee couldn't keep it in. Islanders bring it up. Potvin hit from behind. Play is stopped as the puck is cleared to the first row, and a souvenir for a fan. Very proud there. He's got himself a playoff souvenir, and the face-off will be inside the Pittsburgh blue line. Scores of other games. Buffalo, mid-second, leading Boston 2-1. Minnesota 3-1 over Chicago at the end of one period. In the first period, Winnipeg leads St. Louis 1-0. Other semifinal Stanley Cup playoff games going on tonight. Divisional semifinal action. Here tonight on USA, Dick Carlson with Gary Green and Al Trotwig bringing you the Islanders and the Penguins in the semifinal action in the Patrick division. For Pittsburgh, there is no tomorrow. If they lose tonight, they get the rest of the year off, whereas the Islanders would move on in defense of their Stanley Cup. Penguins own the puck. Hotham brings it up. He'll rip it in from the red line. Good chase going on. Spun around in the corner. Good solid hit. They get up really muscling down there now. The hit put on by 24 Pat Graham, and they'll tie it up on the boards. Another solid hit was put on down there on Stefan Pearson by Pat Graham. Rod Shutt in your picture, who has been somewhat frustrated in this playoff, Gary, because he's a guy who likes to shoot. He frankly hasn't seen much of the puck.
Well, he hasn't been able to shoot, Dick, mainly because, as we talked about earlier, the Islanders hold you up at that blue line, and he's a guy that really likes to get into that slot area or right at the top of the circle and get that good shot away.
Islanders with the puck in a 1-0 lead. Loose in the corner. Brent Sutter. Langevin. Pittsburgh in the corner trying to muscle it out. They can't. Islanders do so well bringing the puck out of the corner. Sutter up and in. Brent Sutter for the shot that's wide. Sutter, by the way, second leading scorer in the playoffs for the Islanders. 2-on-1 breakaway. Carlisle brings it across. Drop pass shot. Oh, and it's tipped out wide. As Rod Shutt, we just talked about him, got a golden opportunity and couldn't beat Billy Smith. Puck cleared back into the Pittsburgh zone. Andre St. Laurent. Boy, give Rod Shutt that chance 3 more times, he'll get it twice. St. Laurent brings it in 2-on-3. Pittsburgh changing lines with nobody in to help. St. Laurent ties it up on the corner boards. Still no whistle. There it is. We'll face it off in the New York Islanders zone. Will be 8 minutes, 11 seconds to go in the second period, and the Islanders on top by the score of 1-0.
Well, there's a guy that can certainly take that aggressive play and give it out. Kenny Morrow played on the U.S. Olympic team, winner of the gold medal, came right from the U.S. Olympic team right to the New York Islanders and won himself a Stanley Cup in the same year. We see that shot by Shutt on a good pass from Carlisle. We just talked earlier about where he likes to shoot it from.
Another great save by Smith off the draw. Cleared back into the Pittsburgh zone. This will be an icing call. They're going to bring it back for a face-off with an even 8 minutes remaining in the second period of play.
You wonder, Dick, really how long both these teams can keep this hitting up, because it really does play the toll on the body. And constantly through the course of the year, you get one good hitting period out of your team, but they really seldom can keep it up for 3 periods. But thus far, with only 8 minutes to go in this second period, we have consistently seen the body being taken time and time again.
What's going for a little guy who will go after the body every time. He doesn't mind hitting. Pat Boutet, leading scorer for Pittsburgh in this playoff series with 2 goals, both on power plays. He has centered their power play tonight, which has been very unsuccessful. Boutet is in for the face-off with Goring to the left of Smith. Pulled to the point. Price whips it around behind the goal. Played by Gardner. Can't center. Boutet going for the puck, but it's cleared back on the near side. Price has to come down the wing to get it. So they rotate to the outside. Boutet really nailed in the corner. And we've got a whistle now as there's a wrestling match going on down there. And the linesmen immediately get into the fray. Linesmen are down there with acetylene torches and vices trying to pull them apart because they went in there quick. Pat Price, number 2 of Pittsburgh, is in there.
Well, Dick, certainly Pat Price showing what colors he wears now. He's got no feelings whatsoever from that blue sweater that he previously wore.
I believe it was Dave Langevin who was in there with him. So it's 1-0 Islanders, and for our local affiliates, we'll pause now. You're watching Stanley Cup playoff hockey on the USA Network.
At one time, Pat Price of the Pittsburgh Penguins was the top junior defenseman in Canada. He then was drafted by the New York Islanders, and since that time, this player who was known for the great puck handling and stick handling has turned to a more aggressive game. He'll be my guest at the end of period 2. In addition to that, USA's In Profile series and another installment. We'll take a look at Chris Nyland of the Montreal Canadiens. It's all coming up at the end of period 2, so stay with us.
Shots in the game are even, 17-17. 1-0 Islanders. Price at the point. Interesting thing, Gary. Price is a left-handed shot playing the right point. And several times tonight we've seen where that time it takes to move that puck from backhand to forehand has cost him.
Well, it's very difficult to have to play your off defensive position or even in a wing situation, but especially on a defenseman's position, because you've got the guys coming down on you with that extra speed. You're skating backward. Here, Rick McLeish, former Philadelphia Flyer. He's been wearing some Stanley Cup rings on his fingers.
Sure has. What a player he is. Attacking in the Pittsburgh zone. Islanders can't control. Pittsburgh does a nice job defensively. They can't get it out of their own end as Potvin kept it in. Played in the corner by Randy Boyd. He hasn't had much ice time tonight. Spun around. When we see fellows like Randy Boyd getting ice time, it might be the result of what you're talking about, Gary. The fact that his body play is beginning to see its toll. Langevin for a shot. Look out, Dion almost let it in. A penalty coming up. A penalty coming up, and Hogarth heads back to the scorer's table, and the gate opens in the Pittsburgh penalty box. It'll be a hooking call. And going off for Pittsburgh is Mike Bullard.
Well, I think, Dick, as we'll see through the replay, that there was no question about that call. Bullard really took the feet out right from underneath of Dennis Potvin, who as a defenseman was in there looking for that goal-scoring opportunity, but right in front of referee Ron Hogarth's eyes.
That's the real misdemeanor there. He did it right in front of the referee.
Well, you're supposed to do it behind the play.
How do you coach that, Gary? You spend hours upon hours, don't you, in practice? Time of the penalty comes at 11:57, second period. Bullard goes off for tripping, and the Islanders are back in the power play. They haven't been there for a while. Shot from the right side, broken up in front, played by Carlisle, brings it around to Hotham, and he brings it out on the wing, leads it away to Saint Laurent. Andre Saint Laurent puts on a skating exhibition. All the way to the corner, and then he goes down hard. Puck loose there. We've got a whistle. Hogarth lost sight of it, and there will be a face-off, and they're going to bring it outside the Islanders zone. In the eyes of Hogarth, it looked to him like Saint Laurent had tried to cover the puck himself. So 1:40 remaining in the power play, and 6:43 left in the second period. Islanders on top 1-0, and the Islanders with an 18-17 shot on goal advantage in the game.
Islanders leading the league this year in power play. Certainly, you don't like to see this club get an extra man at any time during the course of the year, and especially in playoffs when you're laying in your deathbed as Pittsburgh are right now.
Yet, Gary, correct me if I'm wrong, but Pittsburgh cannot afford to play a defensive style of shorthanded situation. They just can't come back and play that box. They're going to have to be aggressive against the Islanders and limit the shots. Gillies drops it to the point. McEwen pulls it across. Shot gloved by Dion. Nice play. Yeah, a little shoving going on down there. Nothing serious. If you were coaching Pittsburgh, how would you have the Penguins play against the Islanders in their power play?
Well, they move the puck around so well, Dick, that you really can't give them an opportunity to set up. And if you do, then as Pittsburgh are trying to, at least they're attempting to do it right now, they're really playing a tight, disciplined box and trying to take away that potential shot from the slot area. But I think with the way that the Islanders can move that puck around, they'll get somebody in that slot, and it's too apt to be a guy like number 22, Michael Bossy.
All right, in for the face-off, Brian Trottier with Pat Boutet. Boutet has been getting a lot of ice time in Pittsburgh. Centering pass broken up. Here comes Pittsburgh. Pat Boutet looks for the man, and then he gives it away. He was going to kill time, and he gave it right back to Trottier. So the Islanders with 1:05 in their power play. Trottier with Boutet. Trottier pulls away. Carlisle comes over to pick him up. The shot from the point kicked out by Dion. Trottier moves it around. Controlled in the corner by Bossy. His centering pass comes to the near boards. St. Laurent goes in after it. It's pulled to Potvin, left point. Goes to the right point. McEwen. Played loosely. This shot has gone through the slot all the way to the boards. Back to Potvin. He gets the shot away. Deflected loose. Centering pass. The shot wide by Gillies. He had some room, but he just didn't get a good shot away. Gillies in the slot. This time stripped to the puck as St. Laurent came through, and Carlisle clears it away. 22 seconds in the power play. Potvin leads it ahead. Trottier looks for the wing, breaking Tonelli. Tonelli sets up in the point. To Trottier. Taken away in the corner. Cleared back out of the zone by Rick McLeish. That'll about do it for the power play. Billy Smith plays the puck. Ready to come out. Bullard. Team's back at equal strength. Power plays expired. McLeish owns the puck. Pittsburgh in their own end. 3-on-4 as they dump it in. Chasing it in. Morrow for the Islanders. Double team, but gets it loose. On to the left wing. Tonelli with Goring leading as he shoots it in. Picked up and played in the corner by Mark Chorney. Around to Price. Up the middle for the man breaking. Here comes Rick McLeish. Cuts left to the circle. Gets the shot. And Smith will smother the puck. So with 4:28 to go in the second period, the Islanders on top 1-0. The official network of the National Hockey League is bringing you the Stanley Cup playoffs from Pittsburgh. More in a moment.
Why do so many people now turn to cable news network for their news?
I think it's done very professionally. It's complete.
They're accurate, they're concise. On CNN, I mean, you get the news. You don't get all this Mickey Mouse stuff.
I just like the straightforward news of CNN.
For millions of people, CNN is the news, cable's most important network. Turn to CNN on your system or contact your cable operator to get it.
So the face-off to the right of Billy Smith. In there, Mike Buller, the youngster, the rookie for the Pittsburgh Penguins, number 22. In for the face-off against Butch Goring, and they whistle it dead again. Dick Carlson with Gary Green and Al Trotwig at Civic Arena, Pittsburgh. Game 3 of a best-of-5 Stanley Cup semifinal in the Patrick Division. Islanders lead this series 2-0. After 8-1 and 7-2 victories at Nassau Coliseum. Pittsburgh in the attacking zone, but losing control. It's cleared back out. Bob Bourne digging for it. He's being chased by Chorney. Chorney cuts in to take the puck away neatly. McEwen back to the corner. Price for Pittsburgh, trying to dig it out. He does. Slaps it out of the zone. Now the skating race is on. Man goes down, but no penalty. Buller really did a nice job, Gary. They should give him at least a 9 on the Olympic scale for the dive, but it didn't come off.
Well, Ron Hogarth was very alert to that one. It was, did you say 9.6, 9.9?
9 on the Olympic scale,
close to a perfect 10.
Sure. Let's go back again, as this is just past the Academy Awards time. Bullard is the Pittsburgh Penguin there, and he just dives in front of the Islander, and of course, following the play was referee Ron Hogarth. And that's just not the right time to do it, Gary.
No, it certainly isn't.
All right, they pull it back in the Islander zone, cleared for neutrality, and back into the Islander zone. Trying to set up the play as Clark Gillies has a man breaking at the blue line. He is muscled off the play from behind. Good defensive job by Randy Carlisle, and here come the Penguins. Gardner makes the fake, pulls left, gets the shot that's gloved, and Billy Smith just put that big mitt on the rainbow. Will face it off in the Islander zone. Smith has been sharp tonight, Gary. He's been tested a few times.
Well, I think it's very obvious out here tonight that Billy Smith, he wants to go home and spend Easter Sunday with his family, and he wants to wrap it up here in this building tonight.
Jerry Green, the former coach of the Washington Capitals in the NHL, our analyst on USA NHL hockey. Jerry, you know both of these teams very well since the Caps also labored in the Patrick division. Any insights on these two teams? Things you see tonight that maybe you don't see during the regular season?
Well, I think that the consistency with the hitting is certainly the most obvious thing out here tonight. But the Islanders, they're a great hockey club. They've been described as awesome. Boy, are they ever.
They showed us why tonight, although Pittsburgh giving a much better accounting for themselves on home ice than they did in Long Island. Face-off will be outside the Pittsburgh line with 3:21 remaining in the second period.
But there we saw that Paul Gardner come through the screen. He's wearing that mask. You know, that can really hinder a player. And I think that a couple of times tonight, Paul Gardner has missed some really good passes. It's kind of jumped over his stick. Boy, it's tough to see down on the ice close when you're wearing that mask.
Carlisle for Pittsburgh. Leads it ahead to St. Laurent. St. Laurent does another good job of skating, but he can't get it loose. Trottier moves it across the rink. Canelli drops it back. Morrow to Potvin. How'd you like to have those guys on your blue line? Potvin and Morrow. And we've got some unpleasantness at center ice as St. Laurent and Tonelli were waving their sticks at each other, and Morrow came spinning in to help. So it'll be St. Laurent and Tonelli heading for the penalty box for the Islanders and Penguins. 16:57, second period. We'll get coincidental minors here. Tonelli back where he's been earlier in this game. Gary?
John Tonelli here we see on the screen. If you're starting out a hockey club, so many people all the time, you know you got to have your Mike Bosseys. You'd love to have them and the Wayne Gretzky's, but he's the kind of guy that I sure would need on a hockey club to win a Stanley Cup. He's the guy that really is doing the corner work for you, up and down the ice, the real bull out there.
See if we can figure out what happened here.
And Morrow passed that puck over to Potvin, but right in front of that, we saw the mix-up really occur. They looked like they were almost tangled up together.
Each team with a man in the box skating a man short. McLeish comes up and he rips it away in a blur, and it comes down to the blue line. Trice able to keep it in. Smith taps it behind the net. Morrow plays it there to Potvin. McLeish on him. Puck cleared back out of the zone. Trice pumps it along the boards. McLeish goes to play it. Taken away loosely on the boards by Caller, and we've got a whistle at the blue line. We're going to have a face-off. Coincidental minors against St. Laurent and Tonelli have 1 minute and 32 seconds remaining. St. Laurent for slashing and Tonelli for high sticking.
Two guys, Dick, on that Islander club with beards, John Tonelli and Clark Gillies. Boy, do they ever look fierce with those beards. I think that's even more intimidating to a club.
Going in for the draw. He's in there with Bullard. They pump it right in, and Carlisle plays it. McLeish in a race for the puck with McEwen. McEwen gets there. Bourne just gets it back out of the zone. Good job by Hoffman taking Goring out of the play. Bullard picks it up. Crowd seems to like that. And here comes McLeish. He's got the cannon, and he's offside. Bullard cut in a fraction too soon. Well, I think one of the more exciting plays you can see in hockey, Gary, is this guy, number 7, Rick McLeish, trying to cut one from the blue line.
Well, he certainly has that ability to step over that blue line. And where he really upsets goaltenders is that when he's going with the flow, he all of a sudden shifts back and gives you a good hard shot. Bobby Bourne, a guy that was potentially a member of Team Canada this year when they played in the Canada Cup, but decided to stick out of it because he was in a contract negotiation.
Who will ever forget how the Islanders got Bob Bourne? Certainly you haven't forgotten. They traded with the defunct Kansas City Scouts for a defenseman named Bart Crashley. Offside at the Islander blue line. We'll bring it out again for a face-off. 52 seconds remaining in the coincidental minors against St. Laurent and Tonelli. 1:55 in the period. And the Islanders protecting that 1-0 lead. So far, the only score in the game belongs to McEwen of the Islanders at 17:36, period 1. Gillies and Dwayne Sutter assisting, and that's the game right now. McClelland of Pittsburgh thought he had one just 21 seconds earlier, but it was waved off by Ron Hogarth, the referee. He had kicked it in. Puck is bouncing through the slot and picked up, sent it out by Gillies. McEwen, who has the game's only goal, brings it in. Centering pass turned out neatly by Dion, playing a great game for Pittsburgh tonight. Hollum on the wing. Ferguson brings it up, looks for help. Brings it up and in, takes the man out. Great play as it comes to Boutet. Too sharp in the corner, needs help. Boutet, blue line, the shot. Oh, the save by Smith on a bouncing shot from Randy Boyd.
Certainly an excellent shot, Dick. It's one that a goaltender hates because he's got so many people in front of him, he really can't see that shot coming from the point. You see the pass by Boutet, and right away, the shot coming right on top of Billy Smith, but you see the number of people in front of him. He's got almost three players that were screened, one out further in the slot. Excellent save by Billy Smith.
Great effort by Boyd because he never tried to set up that pass by Boutet. He teed it up and timed it beautifully and met it on the move.
You know, that's something, Dick, that is very, very difficult to do.
Bullard in there for the draw with Goring. Morrow pulls it around for Potvin. Each team is a man short. Pittsburgh, though, has been really putting on the heat. McLeish works over Potvin. Goring goes over. Boyd takes him out. Puck leaves the zone. Morrow goes to play it. He's taken off the puck. Bourne steals it back. Clears out of the penalty box. Short side, Bourne has it behind the goal. Double team, centers it through the crease all the way to the point. And it's kept in by Potvin. Bourne behind the goal for the Islanders. They tie it up. Centering pass. McLeish takes it away. Leaves it out. Bullard brings it up. Rips it. No, he doesn't. He brings it in. Bullard to the corner. Morrow with him. Turns to center. Center up. Can't handle it. Tonelli skates it out. 2-on-2. It's Tonelli and Trottier on the weave. Dave's taken off on the play. Good defensive effort by Hollum of Pittsburgh, who's played a brilliant game defensively for Pittsburgh here tonight. Hollum again with the puck in front of his own bench. He dumps it in. Hollum has been the one guy tonight for Pittsburgh who has not been afraid to stand anybody up. Islanders bringing out 10 seconds remaining in the period as they shoot it in. Spun around to the boards. They'll try for one last shot. Around behind the goal. Hollum goes in to play the puck. He's shielded by Carlisle. And there it is, the horn sounding the end of the second period of play, with the Islanders leading the Pittsburgh Penguins by the score of 1-0. Shots on goal at the end of two periods. The Islanders 21 and Pittsburgh with 20. So we're at the end of period 2 here in Pittsburgh. The score, New York Islanders 1, Pittsburgh 0. We'll return with our between periods activities right after this.
This Sunday and Monday, see men's professional tennis at its best as USA takes you to Monaco for the 1982 Monte Carlo Open. Yvonne Lendl, Jose Luis Clerc, Guillermo Vilas, and Yannick Noah, who upset Bjorn Borg in the quarterfinals, lead the field in this Grand Prix tournament. The 1982 Monte Carlo Open. Don't miss the semifinals at 8 p.m. Eastern Sunday and the finals 8:30 p.m. Eastern Monday on the USA Cable Network. This week,
watch the USA Cable Network as we add a bright new dimension to your day with exclusive new programming only cable can offer. USA Daytime, featuring insights with psychologist Sonia Friedman, intimate interviews with celebrities' wives on Are You Anybody, the world's longest-running TV drama Coronation Street, the Daily USA Movie, plus a brand new season for Alive and Well and helpful hints from the Better Homes and Gardens Idea Notebook. All day, every Monday through Friday, watch USA Daytime.
The revitalized Detroit Pistons, driving towards their first playoff appearance in 5 years, host the Cleveland Cavaliers this week on USA's Thursday night NBA basketball. The dazzling play of Rookie of the Year candidates Kelly Tripucka and Isaiah Thomas have the basketball fans in the Motor City humming. Don't miss the Cavaliers and Pistons live from the Silverdome at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific on the USA Cable Network, Thursday.
Despite the exhortations of their Civic Arena fans, the Pittsburgh Penguins have been unable to penetrate the wall that is Billy Smith. Islanders won, Penguins nothing at the end of the second period. And my guest here in the studio is Pat Price, defenseman for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Pat, this is a pretty exciting game. A lot going on out there.
Yeah, it's a grinding type of game. It's very physical, and when it's a 1-0 game, that's the way it is. There's not that many shots on net, and the shots that they're getting are good ones. And there's a lot of hitting. Very physical game. It's tough for defensemen because you're working in the corners so much, and it's you're using your upper body more so than you're using your skating, and tires you out.
Former first-round draft pick of the Islanders, Pat, you said some things in the recent week that you wanted to prove something to Bill Torrey, general manager of the Islanders. What is that?
Well, basically, you know, I spent a lot of time in their system, and they spent a lot of time with me as well, and I just wanted to show them that, you know, I've learned more about the game. When I went there, all I knew was more or less offense. My game has changed quite a bit since then because now I've worked more on the defense because that's what's required, more or less.
Have you fulfilled that promise to yourself?
Well, every team asks something of each player, and my contribution to this team, and all I've been asked to do is keep the front of the net clear and headman the puck. That's where I contribute most of my offensive capabilities is in our end by making the one pass to get it out or carrying it to the red line and dumping it in. I'm no longer required to make the plays, which is the way it was in junior. And a junior has to realize that he has to make a transition because now you spend 4 years in junior proving it to the scouts that showing what you can do. Then when you come to the NHL, they expect certain things of you, and that's what you do to maintain a consistency.
Well, maybe in saying that, you're answering my next question, and that is when you were one of the top-rated junior defensemen in Canada, you were known for your stick handling and your ability to do amazing things with the puck. But now in the NHL, you're becoming well known for your physical, aggressive style of play. You're a rough player in the NHL. What caused the change?
Well, when I came here, as I said, you do what they ask of you. That's what more or less they asked of me to do. They still use me as a backup on the power play, and as I say, in our end is where I have to contribute most of my offensive capabilities in moving the puck and making the good passes to get out. And that's just when I went to the Islanders there was a transition. As I say, they had not a bad hockey player by the name of Dennis Potvin, and everybody knows his offensive capabilities, so there was really no need for that extra puck-carrying defenseman, and that's why Al and Bill spent so much time trying to teach me the defensive game. And, you know, I think that I like to say that, you know, I thank them and I respect both of the men immensely. And if it wasn't for Al Arbour and Bill Torrey, I might not even be here today.
Pat, we've been bantering back and forth ideas about what Edward J. DeBartolo, the owner of your team, might have done to your team by saying what he said today, and that was he was embarrassed by your team's play and offered refunds to fans. Now, luckily for him and the team, not many fans took him up on that, but what was the reaction of the team?
Well, naturally, we were pretty disappointed. I mean, there's throughout the course of the year, or you know, in sports franchises, the owners are the owners, and I guess they do what they want. But you know, it's pretty disheartening when it sounds like your owner, you know, is giving up on you. We tried our best. We're not playing the St. Louis Blues this year. We're playing the best team in the NHL, the New York Islanders, and until somebody beats them, they are the best team because they've won the Stanley Cup 2 years in a row. So you just can't take that away from them. And as I say, we tried our best. We're professionals. We like to consider ourselves giving an honest effort every game in and game out, and they were just that many goals better than us.
Pat, you might have 20 more minutes left in your season this year. You're going to have to pull out all the stops. What do you foresee in the third period?
Well, there's no holding back. There's no doubt about that. It's going to get crucial out there. Every play is going to be a crucial play for us. So you're going to see a lot of guys, you know, doing that little extra. I think it's going to be very exciting third period.
Pat, thank you very much. And for being our in-between periods guest, Pat Price of the Pittsburgh Penguins will receive a year's supply of Menon aftershave and cologne. Now, for the man who reaches higher, Hawk Cologne and Aftershave, a clean, brisk outdoor scent, as free-spirited as the man who wears it. Hawk Cologne and Aftershave by Menon. More Stanley Cup trivia coming your way on USA. The most goals by a rookie in a playoff year in Stanley Cup competition, Dino Ciccarelli of the Minnesota North Stars. And unless that team turns around, he won't do it this year. We'll be back for more. USA's In Profile series is coming up next on USA Coast to Coast.
It's a chance for the nation's top college stars to strut their stuff for the NBA scouts. Tuesday, from Honolulu, Hawaii, USA brings you the 14th annual Aloha Classic, a showcase of basketball talent. Last year, 25 of the 32 participants in the Classic made it to the NBA, and the scouts are already drooling over this year's bumper crop of talented seniors. Don't miss the Aloha Classic at 11:30 p.m. Eastern on the USA Cable Network, Tuesday.
The Philadelphia Daily News called Night Flight the boldest, freshest concept in young adult programming to ever hit national television. Because Night Flight features films like The Doors Are Open and Neil Young's Rust Never Sleeps, performers like Cheap Trick, The Who, and Roberta Flack, and special features, The Video Artist and New Wave Theater. The Fort Lauderdale News called Night Flight a thinking man's rock program. But don't think too hard. Tune in to Night Flight, late night, all night, every Friday and Saturday night.
Civic Arena crowd hoping that this is not the swan song for their Pittsburgh Penguins. After 40 minutes of hockey in the Stanley Cup playoffs, divisional semifinals of this Patrick Division matchup, it is the Islanders 1 and the Pittsburgh Penguins 0. Well, the Montreal Canadiens certainly have their hands full, and so does Chris Nyland, the Boston, Massachusetts-born defenseman of the Montreal Canadiens. He's tonight's subject on USA's In Profile series.
I used to get down there almost every day after school. If we weren't playing street hockey, like if we didn't have enough kids to play street hockey, then I'd usually go down myself and just break the pucks out and fire them off the wall all afternoon, you know. I'd pass the time by doing that. People would ride by, see me shooting pucks, you know. One of the days, that kid shooting pucks again, you know, down the street. And I'd always wait till around 5:30 that my father would be coming home from work, and he'd always, you know, I'd be down there. He'd always wonder when I do my homework. He always said if I put as much into my homework that I do shooting pucks off the wall, then I'd do much better in school. And, you know, I was influenced greatly by my parents to maybe stay in school and finish my degree and, you know, get your degree and then go give it a go in Montreal and see if you can get both, you know, have best of both worlds, you know, have your cake and eat it too, you know. That's what they wanted. And I said to myself, I went in and watched them practice one day, the Canadians at the Garden, and I said, oh, geez, something burning inside me, I gotta find out. And if I gotta wait till I get out of school, I'm not gonna do well in school because I'm gonna be thinking hockey. I'm not gonna be really trying that hard in school. So I'd be cheating myself in one respect in school, and I'm there on scholarship, and I'm not really going all out because the hockey is really, it's something that was really bugging me. And I sat and talked to my father. I told him, you know, I said, Dad, I want to go, I want to do it. And one day he finally just said, you know, you're putting all your cherries into one bowl. And he says, you got to go and you're going to go and do it. And if you come back, you got to realize, you know, you're in for a rude awakening. There's going to be no college hockey. You're going to have to pay to go to college. So it was a big decision, but you know, it helped, you know, hearing what he had to say, and which I always, you know, I'd listen to him, and so he always taught me quite a bit, but I made that decision to go, and I went. I was an average student, not really above average, or maybe a little below average, too, I could say, but I got by. I did enough to stay in school, you know, which is maybe a poor thing to say on my part, but that was me, and that I had, you know, I know I'm not stupid. If I really would bear down in school and study, I could do it. I could do it just like everybody else. But I was preoccupied with playing hockey, and it's something I wanted to. School was a way to get where I wanted to go. You know, I mean, it's unfortunate. Like I could never go up and play junior hockey. I never really knew nothing about it. So I was the typical American kid who was geared to go to school and play sports at the same time. That's how American athletes are. They're geared to do both. And this was a stepping stone and a way for me to get to the NHL.
Chris Nyland can go back to the moment when he decided to travel the NHL road. All those cherries and only one ball, but it has all worked out. He has lived out the dream of every young street hockey player in Boston, and he lives it out on the NHL's traditional dream team, the Montreal Canadiens. A bruising hockey player, Chris is pretty quiet when the third period buzzer sounds and slows down his hockey-quickened heartbeat at his summer home in Massachusetts. There he is able to spend time with his new bride, Karen, and some special friends. His interests are varied, but his special hobby would bring a smile to the face of Jacques Cousteau. Under the water or on top of it when frozen, Chris Nyland loves life and is one of those special stories that seems to define the phrase, the American dream.
Hammerock's a small little town. Like, we looked through the newspaper to find a summer place, and we wanted to get a nice, relaxing place. I did anyway. After a long season, 80 games, you go on, you got the exhibition games, playoffs. I just wanted to find a place that would be nice, relaxing near the ocean. I like the ocean. I like to scuba dive. I like to look at myself in the summertime, in the off-season, as someone, or even during the season, the type of person who likes to do what he does best, and I like the element of danger, actually. Like, that's why I like to scuba dive. Like, it's a bit dangerous at certain times. It can be, you got to be safe about it, but it's interesting, and I just like to do different things and delve into other things that a lot of other people aren't into. Like, I'm not into going and fishing. I don't like to fish because I'd much prefer to go out and go after the fish instead of sit there and wait for them to come to me. So that's more or less, I don't know, I like to go out and go after something if I want it. And that's, you know, it comes down to me going up to Montreal and playing hockey up there. You know, I went out and I went after it and I got it. So, you know, and this is also something, you know, it comes down to Karen and I. We just enjoy what we're doing for the summer. It's relaxing, and Karen's been working the past couple of years, and she likes to she's going to look forward to going up to Montreal next year, and it's going to be a challenge for her and myself together, so it'll be fun and be interesting to do.
Right now, Chris Nyland and the Montreal Canadiens having their problems at the end of one period at Quebec City. It is the Quebec Nordiques 2 and the Montreal Canadiens nothing. That series is tied at 1. Who holds the record for most assists in an NHL playoff year? It is the great number 4, Bobby Orr. We'll be back for more on the USA Cable Network. Third period's coming up. Stay with us.
Shoulders doesn't have it. Selsun Blue doesn't have it. Only Denorex has it. An extra relief medicine to stop dandruff itch. You can feel it tingle. All three have one medicine for dandruff itch, but only Denorex adds a second medicine, an exclusive anti-itch medicine many dermatologists recommend. You can feel it tingle. That's extra relief medicine, and only Denorex has it. In regular or New Mountain Fresh Herbal, Denorex stops dandruff itch with an extra relief medicine.
And here's your room guarantee. And only Holiday Inn gives you this no excuses guarantee. Everything in your room will be right, or we'll make it right, no excuses. Or that night you stay free. Enjoy your stay.
Thank you.
You don't get this guarantee from any other hotel chain, not any one of them. And this guarantee comes from every one of us at Holiday Inn to you, because we want to take care of you. We give you a guarantee, not excuses.
Know where NHL game announcers get all our statistical information on the players and teams? It's here in the NHL Guide. Over 800 pages of hockey statistics, records, and information. To get your 1981-82 copy of the NHL Guide, just send your name and address and $8.50, check or money order, to NHL Guide, Post Office Box 999A, Ridgefield, New Jersey, 07657. Act now and become a hockey expert.
This is the USA Cable Network.
Through 2 periods of play at Civic Arena in Pittsburgh, the New York Islanders continue to nurse a 1-0 lead over the Pittsburgh Penguins. The lone goal coming in the first period at 17:36. McEwen, his third lifetime against Pittsburgh in the playoffs, his first in this series. And that is the hockey game right now. No scoring in the second period. 21-20 shots on goal. The one-shot advantage to the Islanders. Those are 2 period totals, as the Penguins outshot the Islanders by 2 shots in the second period. Dick Carlson with Gary Green and Al Trotwig bringing you Stanley Cup hockey on the network of the NHL, the USA Cable Network. Very quickly, let's run down scores of other playoff games tonight. A big surprise. Mid-second period, Minnesota has taken a 6-1 lead over the Chicago Blackhawks at Chicago Stadium. Elsewhere, St. Louis in the first period leads Winnipeg 2-1. Winnipeg had a 1-0 lead. Calgary and Vancouver are tied.
Second period, they managed only one shot on Bill Smith. So with 20 minutes to play in regulation time, Gord Lane has returned to the penalty box along with Baxter. They each have 10 seconds left in a misconduct call. And we'll have to stay there, of course, till the next play stoppage. Good crowd on hand. Over 13,000 here, and they're revving up their Pittsburgh Penguins. For my money, Pittsburgh has to get a goal in the first 5 minutes. If they do not, the way the Islanders play, just wind them down, run them down, grind them, that type of game, and the Penguins, I don't think, will be able to pull it out. But it all hinges, in my opinion, on the first 5 minutes. Familiar New York face there? Oh, yeah. So here we go. Third period. Will it be the last period? Remember, there is overtime in the playoffs. Potvin picks it up back of his own goal. Around the boards to get it away from Shutt. Tonelli dumps it into center ice. Carlisle is back for Pittsburgh. Put it right on the stick of Trottier. Comes over the line. Cutting it on goal. Was checked. Still managed to get a shot away. Good effort by Saint-Laurent to catch up with Trottier. Now Potvin at center ice. Got it away from McClellan. Over to Morrow. To Trottier. Ahead to Caller, who couldn't take the pass. Here is Saint-Laurent. Saint-Laurent checked at the Islander line by Potvin. McClellan dumps it into the New York zone. Bill Smith leaves it for Denny Potvin. Potvin up the left side for John Tonelli. Long pass to Trottier. Off the boards to Caller instead, and he relayed it into the Pittsburgh zone. Islanders changing on the fly as Pat Price comes from back of the net. Price, left side. This is Randy Boyd, and Gilly stepped into him with a good check. Wayne Sutter relayed it to center. It's broken up. Bullard across the Islander line. Bullard lost the puck. He tried to go wide on Brent Sutter, and the puck just hung right there. Now Gilly stumps one in. Wayne Sutter in after it. Checked by Boyd, and here comes McLeish. McLeish, right side to Ferguson over the Islander line. Ferguson chased to the corner by Langevin. Center to shot from Bullard went wide. Good setup by Ferguson, but it didn't amount to anything. Now Carlisle with a shot. That hit Wayne Sutter. Langevin covered up in front of the net. Langevin pokes it away from Ferguson to Gillies. Art Gillies has iced the puck.
Good pressure by Pittsburgh, Jigs. Good hustle, some good checks. Stick checks, body checks, the kind of thing they're going to have to do. They're going to have to come up with the puck along the boards. They're going to have to win the little battles in the third period.
And each team has just regained the services of a defenseman. Baxter for Pittsburgh, Lane for the Islanders. Al Arbor has sent out Butch Goring. We take a look at Michel Dion.
The difference in his workload tonight compared to the last two hockey games where he was overworked a great deal.
Denny Potvin, stick handle from back of his own goal, fed the pass to Goring. Goring across the line, knocked down on the play. The defenseman Hoffman got him. Carlisle stepped into Greg Gilbert. And the Penguins break out, led by Bullard. Morrow is back. Bullard across the line. McLeish headed for the net. The shot hit Morrow. Up the right side comes Bourne. Bourne checked at his own line. McLeish centered it, but behind Bullard. Bullard took a dive. Gets up slowly. Gilbert, in the meantime, sends Bourne over the Pittsburgh line. Coming in on goal. Bourne a backhander. Dion got a piece of it. Greg Gilbert out of the corner. Plays it back of the Pittsburgh goal. Carlisle failed to pick it up. Here's Bourne. Bourne slipped it in front. Oh, and it was tipped just wide by Gilbert. Gilbert centers it. Here's Bourne. Bourne back to the point. McEwen a drive. Dion got in front of that shot. It's cleared by Ferguson, but right to McEwen. McEwen shoots one. Dion the save, and Ferguson covers up for Pittsburgh. Goring was cross-checked in front of the net. No penalty. Boutet into the Islanders zone. Pat Boutet cuts in off left wing. Can't slip it under Bill Smith. Gardner down on top of Smith. In the meantime, Bourne unable to get out of his own zone. Moving in is Keogh. Went to the backhand and it went wide of the net. A frenzy pace at the moment. Gilbert has sliced the puck. They get a face-off back in the Islanders zone. A little rest here for some people who have worked very hard in the last couple of shifts. A break in the action. 3:06 gone in the third period. The score: the Islanders won, the Penguins no score.
The MVPs are here. The maximum value package Datsuns. Like this special edition King Cab 4x4 MVP. Get $600 off sticker price on valuable options like stereo, light bar, grill guard, and more. Imagine $600 off. Look for similar discounts on Little Hustler and Diesel MVPs. But hurry, these MVPs are moving.
A tremendous pace in the hockey game here in the third period. 1-0 for the New York Islanders. 16:54 remaining in the third period. Good chances at both ends of the ice. Smith and Dion, outstanding.
St. Laurent got the draw to Baxter. His shot was blocked by Trottier, and Bryan's on the move down the left side. A shot. Dion the save. Tonelli overskated the rebound. His stick was lifted by St. Laurent. Here's shot into the New York Islanders zone. His shot deflected by Langevin. Trottier one-hands it off the boards into center. Down into the Pittsburgh zone. Baxter coming back for it. Islanders again called for icing the puck.
Good hustle. Pittsburgh getting back. John Tonelli was ready to walk straight in on a rebound. Dion had made a good save off Trottier. In the other two games, Jiggs, plays like that, there would have been a goal or at least a good shot by Tonelli off the rebound. That's the difference in the pace of the hockey game, the tempo. Pittsburgh is in the hockey game. Going to make the New York Islanders earn everything they get in this game.
Al Arbor made some changes, tried to make some late changes. Referee Hogarth didn't allow them, so Lane comes back out on defense. He and McEwen there together. Up front, it'll be Trottier, Bossy, and John Tonelli. Gardner on left wing. Boutet on the face-off. Over on the right side, Rick Kehoe. Draw clear to the corner. Lane picked it up from Trottier. Now to Bossy. Mike Bossy's clearing attempt hit Carlisle. Randy Carlisle into the corner. Gardner back to Boutet, who had covered up at the left point, but he couldn't do anything with it. Tonelli chased it to the Pittsburgh line. Cleared by Hotham to Carlisle off his stick. Trottier controls it for the Islanders. Played it into the Pittsburgh zone. Hotham back for it. Greg Hotham up to Rick Kehoe. Kehoe checked at the Islander line. Gord Lane takes a look, plays it to the right wing. It went behind Tonelli. Trottier now tried to feed it off the boards and went into the Pittsburgh bench instead. We have 15:56 left. No, there's a situation at hand here for the Islanders. It's a matter, do they make the reservation for the charter to come pick up the team now, or do you wait a little bit longer?
It's in a standby situation. The airplane is in Philadelphia, I believe, and they have a crew standing by awaiting a phone call to come from here in the Pittsburgh Civic Center.
I remember a junior game. The score was 3-1 with a little more than 4 minutes to play, and the game ended up 5-3 for the team that had won. Toronto St. Michael's Majors had a 3-1 lead against St. Catherine's Teepees. Now that's ancient history in junior hockey because St. Michael's Majors haven't been around Toronto in many years, and the Teepees became the Blackhawks. And
you never know. It's not over until it's over. Quote Yogi Berra.
Wayne Merrick, Anders Kaller, Clark Gillies, the forward line, firing at that man in the mask, Michel Dion. Dion signed as a free agent. Eddie Johnson figured out his problems. He needed corrective lenses. Had trouble, especially with the long shots.
A goaltender that could not see.
Well,
very good.
Yeah, that's
or well enough.
Okay. Persson held the puck in at the Pittsburgh line. A shot went off Merrick. That's Kaller chasing it, centered. It hit Merrick. Merrick put it out in front, tipped away from Gillies, and it comes to center ice. Langevin to Persson. Now to Gillies. Gillies fed it in on the right wing, off the boards. Dion moves out of the net. Around it goes to Ferguson. Langevin chases him back. Merrick stepped into Ferguson. Langevin back in the net, ran into Baxter. Langevin trying to get away from the Pittsburgh defenseman, and this is Bullard now to the right side for Ferguson. Coming back was Clark Gillies. Gillies to Langevin, and again the Penguins are forced back. We passed the 5-minute mark of the final period. Islanders 1, Penguins no score. Randy Carlisle at center ice. Shot it around the boards. Bill Smith cuts it off for Morrow. Morrow ahead to Goring. He skated away from it. McClellan moves in from the blue line. McClellan shot off the pads of Smith. McClellan checked by Potvin, who fed the pass up the left wing for Greg Gilbert. Right side to Bourne. Bourne working on Carlisle. Cuts to the far side around Hotham. Goes back to the net with it. Out in front, Dion, the stick save. Potvin moves in. Potvin checked on the boards. The puck cleared around. Here's Bourne with it. Bob Bourne dumps it back of the Pittsburgh goal. Gilbert ran into Hotham in his pursuit of the puck. This is Carlisle. Checked by Butch Goring. Goring feeds it back into the Pittsburgh zone. Out comes Shutt. Steve Shutt over the Islander line, put on the brakes. Potvin cleared the puck, and now it's tipped into center ice by Butch Goring. Baxter to Price. Price fired it right at Morrow and knocked it down. Morrow fired one off the shin pads of Baxter. Billy Carroll out for the Islanders. Went to center one. It was blocked by Saint-Laurent. Baxter up the right side. Kehoe played a long pass right onto the stick of Lane. He gave it to Billy Carroll. Carroll to Sutter. Dwayne Sutter played it to the left wing, and Gillies ran into a check from Kehoe. Pat Price lost his balance. Baxter with the puck. He elects to shoot it down the ice. That goes wide. And the whistle sounds for an icing. A break in the action. The score remains. Islanders 1, Penguins no score.
Michelob brings you the 7-day weekend, Southern style. The style and grace that is the South is reflected in one great beer, Michelob. That smooth and mellow taste has its own special way of saying, y'all come back and see us anytime.
There's nothing better on a rainy night in Georgia. Put a little weekend in your week. Yeah.
Hello. Mother and daughter enjoying the game, I presume.
No comment. Talked to you mentioned the St. Michael's Majors. I talked to a player that played for the St. Michael's Majors. I talked to him today. Lou Angotti, one of the great juniors for the St. Michael's Majors, coached the Erie Blades.
I just recalled something. You also talked to the coach of that team that lost 5-3 earlier tonight, Jimmy Gregory. Pittsburgh has just tied it up. The Pittsburgh Penguins got a break on a rebound in front of Bill Smith. We are tied at 1. 13:09 left. They did not get the goal in the first 5 minutes like I said they would have to. And it came in the first 7.
Leave the airplane in Philadelphia for the time being as we see Pat Boutette, who has 2 goals in this series. There's the shot by Ferguson. Rebound. Loose in front of the net. It's Pat Boutette, his 3rd goal, as he puts it over the shoulder of Billy Smith. Let's look again. Boutette, that's Randy Carlisle, number 25, streaking for the net. Keogh, it was. 17 takes the shot. Stefan Pearson couldn't handle the rebound, and Pat Boutette could. The fans are on their feet as number 15 has just scored to tie the score at 1 apiece.
Boutette at 6:51. Kehoe will get an assist. Boutette with his 3rd goal. He has scored 3 of the 4 Pittsburgh goals in the series. Now Tonelli, rink-wide pass to Bossy. Lost it at the Pittsburgh blue line. Here is Pat Price up the right side. McClellan trying to come in around Langevin. Checked and knocked down, and the Islanders control the puck.
Islanders got away with that one, Jiggs. That could have been a penalty easily.
Tonelli unable to set up Bossy. Here's Shutt for Pittsburgh. Left side to Saint-Laurent. Saint-Laurent trying to come out of the corner, put it in front of the net. Baxter moves in. He was checked. John Tonelli goes to the board. Bumped hard by McClellan. Saint-Laurent around to McClellan to the blue line. Baxter unable to get a stick on it. Going back is Pat Price. Pat Price at the blue line. Got away from one check. Ferguson picks up the puck. Left wing to Bullard. Bullard chased to the corner by Morrow. Out it comes to Ferguson, who centered. That was broken up. Held in by Carlisle to McLeish to Carlisle. He's shooting, and it's deflected up into the crowd.
What a play by Ken Morrow again as the Pittsburgh Penguins bring it on. Their fans look at them on their feet. It's got to give a little bit of relief to that gentleman, Eddie Johnson. His team has tied the score, looking for the go-ahead goal. Carlisle, as you see, Norris Trophy winner last season, who has not played well in this series, has played much better tonight. Ken Morrow, what a move, deflecting his shot up into the seats.
Brent Sutter centers for Dwayne Sutter and Clark Gillies. Brent Sutter, after winning the draw, has shot it into the Pittsburgh zone. Dion didn't cut it off. Gillies in after it. Back to Morrill. To Gillies. Gillies being bothered by Carlisle. They go to the boards together. McLeish unable to come off the boards. Here is Dwayne Sutter to Clark Gillies to Brent Sutter. Shoots just wide on the glove side. Gillies from back of the net. Got it to the blue line for Potvin. His drive was wide of the net. McLeish off the left wing side. Dumped it into center. Hit Bullard. Picked up by Gillies. Now to Potvin. To Brent Sutter. Brent Sutter pushed it in across that Pittsburgh line. Carlisle backing up. Now to Hotham. Hotham long pass to McLeish. McLeish to the Islander line. Checked by Denny Potvin. Ferguson came in after it. Centers. Potvin tipped it away from Bullard. Potvin missed Greg Gilbert with the return pass. We have 11:10 remaining in regulation time. Price at the blue line. A slap shot. Smith the save. And feeds it off for Denny Potvin. Up left wing to Gilbert. Gilbert checked by Kehoe. Gilbert had it momentarily. Now Potvin with a stick on it. Dumps it into the Pittsburgh zone. Not far enough for icing.
A lot of pressure by the Pittsburgh Penguins, Jiggs. They've had the Islanders back in their end of the ice for the last 5 minutes.
At Boutet to Gardner. Got into the skates of the referee. Came out of there and is picked up by Gardner in the Islander zone. Closes in with a shot. Smith made the save and smothers the puck.
Gardner moving in quickly. Gets the shot away, and Billy Smith makes the save. A break in the action. The score, the Islanders won, Pittsburgh won.
When it comes to individual retirement accounts, even smart New Yorkers have complex questions.
I need simple answers, answers that are right for me.
What you need is our IRA expert.
The Bank of New York specially trained over 200 of their best bankers on the new IRA. So there's an IRA expert in every branch.
I can give you simple answers in simple English.
For smart New Yorkers, what could be simpler?
Oh, right this way.
Talk to the IRA expert at any branch of the Bank of New York.
Face off to the left of Bill Smith. The Islanders and WRTV join together to welcome the Bank of New York as a sponsor of the Islander playoff games and their march to the Stanley Cup. They'll be with us again in the 1982-83 season telecast right here on WOR. We welcome the folks at the Bank of New York, banking on the hat trick for the Stanley Cup. Now Dion around the boards. Lane came in from the right point. Was knocked away from him, picked up by Goring, but he had to come back into center ice. Over to McEwen. McEwen has the Islander goal. Boutet has scored for Pittsburgh. Bob Bourne dumped it to the Pittsburgh blue line. Baxter is there. Ahead to Carlisle. Lost it at the Islander line as Goring took him out. Lane feeding it back. This is Saint-Laurent to Baxter. Bourne. Now Brian Trottier and Greg Gilbert out on the ice. Trottier just knocked down a high pass and has lugged the puck to center. Fires a shot. Grabbed by Dion. Picked up by Carlisle. Caller into forecheck. So is Trottier. And Carlisle just dumped it to center ice. Berson's pass broken up. Here's Bullard across the Islander line. Right side to McLeish. Rick McLeish centers. Blocked by Langevin. Langevin around to the right side. In comes Carlisle. Caller beat him to it. And it came off his stick. Caller steps into Bullard, knocking him down. McLeish in for Pittsburgh, and play is called as the puck was frozen. 9:24 left in the third period.
Another good defensive move. This time Dave Langevin on Rick McLeish. Andy Caller, some equipment adjustments. He should not make them there. Do not make any adjustments, repairs to equipment on the playing surface.
Mentioned that Clark Gillies with the assist in the first period. Now has 7 points, leads all the Islanders. Brian Trottier, Brent Sutter with 5 points each. Stefan Persson also with 5 points through the series thus far. Carlisle centering the puck. Bullard over to Ferguson, and his shot was off the target. John Tonelli up the right wing to Caller. Anders Caller elects to shoot one in. Dion around the boards. Here comes Tonelli. John Tonelli put it out in front. Keller with a shot off McLeish and into the crowd. Referee Hogarth got hit on the boards. Shaken up a little bit.
Islanders trying to take some pressure off Billy Smith. Bringing the puck down the ice as the chant here along with the organist. Billy, and what's this one? Is that Billy again?
Yeah, that's Billy again. Well, he did not endear himself to the 9,000 or so that attended last Sunday's exhibition here at the Civic Arena. I don't think I've ever seen as many people wait after a game to boo and hiss as the bus left.
He loved every minute of it.
Oh, you know he did.
Very active crowd here in the Pittsburgh Civic Center. 28 shots for the Islanders, 27 for Pittsburgh.
Merrick won the draw. Back to Wayne Sutter to Gillies. His shot was blocked. Picked up at center ice by Morrow. Now the Penguins move out into center. Boutet couldn't handle Gardner's pass. Potvin knocked it away from Boutet. To Dwayne Sutter to Merrick. Tipped it up the right wing. Gillies slapped it away from Baxter. Gillies cuts in off the wing. Back to Dwayne Sutter. His shot picked up by Dion. Good save by Michel Dion. Here comes Baxter. Over the Islander line. Baxter unable to move in deep. Now Gardner fires a shot toward the net. That hit Keown. Is swatted ahead on the right side. High stick is the call. Knocked down, and the face-off will be in the Islander zone. We have 8:25 left in the third period.
Fine save by goaltender Dion as Gillies and Sutter teaming up to get a play at the goaltender. Here's Clark Gillies. He made a fine move to steal the puck. He drops it back. There's the shot by Dwayne Sutter. Good stop by Dion. The rebound. You see the Pittsburgh Penguins coming back quickly. Baxter, number 4, getting back, covering up, taking the rebound down into the Islanders' end of the ice.
Dion has been spectacular again tonight. The Islanders with 29 shots, the Penguins with 27 at this point.
Shots, in this case, designate the play. It's been back and forth.
Carlisle's shot was blocked by Bourne and came out into center ice. Bourne, Goring, and Greg Gilbert for the Islanders. A pile up on the boards and no further play. A week from tonight, Saturday, April 17th, 7:30 at the Nassau Coliseum, Alabama, their new album, Play Me Some Mountain Music. Mickey Gilley will be there, Johnny Lee and the Thrasher Brothers. A country western spectacle. Tickets $12.50 and $11.50. Plenty still available. They're on sale at the Coliseum box office and at Ticketron outlets. And prior to the concert, an Alabama country and western style dinner. Never did check to see if they were going to have grits. But that'll be in the Arena Club.
Isn't that a breakfast dish?
Doesn't matter.
No, I don't think it is. Yes, it is, too. You can have grits with eggs.
Sure. You can have it anytime you want it, man. Now the puck in the skates of Gilbert. It came loose. Brought out by McEwen to Bourne. Bob Bourne across the line. Around Carlisle. And then Hotham came back to get a piece of Bourne. Salarant plays it around the boards. Now a little stick work. Bob Bourne upset with Hotham. Little stick swinging, and Bourne was ready to challenge Hotham, but the linesmen, Bonnie and Asselstein, came in. Bonnie skating Bourne back into center ice as Salarant has a lot to say in the situation. The fans begin to hurl some debris out of the ice. Bourne has been ushered right to the penalty box. And Hotham is going off as well. So a break in the action. 7:37 remaining in regulation time. The score tied. Islanders 1, the Penguins 1.
The secret of controlling the new Datsun Turbo ZX is controlling yourself. You won't do 0 to 50 in 6 seconds flat, but you know you could. You won't wind it to its track speed of over 100 miles an hour, but you know you could. And when the light turns green, you won't flaunt your turbo power, but knowing you could is awesome.
The game heats up. Bob Bourne in the box. Here's how he got there. As Bourne shows some good moves. He gets around Carlisle. Going in, he's hooked by Hotham. Took offense to it. Ran into Hotham. Their tempers flared. Bourne swings around with a stick. That's just a gesture. That's not a penalty, but they stayed tangled. Sticks got up a little high. There he is. Hotham.
Bourne for slashing, Hotham for high sticking. Hotham, well, bordered on a penalty. More than bordered. It should have been called, but was not going to be, and it resulted in Hotham getting a high sticking penalty after. And there's Eddie Johnson venting a little frustration with the referee. The fans have done so as well. They've
littered the ice.
Yeah, they've littered the ice with all kinds of things. So Dion will get a little rest, and we'll get a scraper out here and clean things up. But we have 7:37 remaining in the third period. These penalties at 12:23.
The argument in a situation such as this, on the Islanders' side, they argue that if the penalty had been called in their eyes on Hotham when he hooked Bourne originally, that would have been the end of it. As it turned out, they both get a penalty. Eddie Johnson on his side feels that his player was swatted with a high stick. Bourne should have had the penalty alone. So to satisfy both sides, Ron Hogarth gives them both a penalty. 2 minutes. Bourne slashing, Hotham high sticking.
There's Michel Dion. On the season here at Pittsburgh, he carried a 3.79 goals against average, 25 wins, 24 losses, 12 ties. The man you're looking at right now had the best winning average, or best
he won the most games in the National Hockey League.
32, 9, and 4 on the year, and a 2.97 goals against average. It had been down to about 2.77, 2.78, 2.79 until we finished the season here a week ago, and he gave up 7 goals. But he was having fun last Sunday.
I don't think there's any way he cannot be selected as the all-star goaltender. Jiggs, the way Billy Smith has performed all season. He led the league in wins, had a fine average, and he should be picked as the all-star goalie of the National Hockey League.
You get no argument from me on that count.
Irregardless of the feelings, one of the problems that, and he has pointed it out, that he's not very popular with the voting press. That should have no effect on his selection, because he stands a long way ahead of really anybody else in the league.
Billy Carroll is on the ice for the Islanders with Clark Gillies, Potvin, and Morrill for Pittsburgh. It'll be McLeish and Ferguson as the forwards. On defense, Pat Price and Randy Boyd. The draw came back to Pat Price. The captain, Carlisle, went to the dressing room during the cleanup operation and has not come back. Boyd dumps it into the Islanders zone. Chasing it is Denny Potvin. Potvin to Billy Carroll. Carroll chased to the boards by Boyd. And here is Potvin sending Gillies over the line. Clark Gillies in around Price, moves in, shoots Dion the save. The rebound, and Potvin couldn't put it home. It was there, and Dennis couldn't get it. Ferguson drops it to Price. Pat Price at the Islander line. Went wide and then stopped. Trying to make the play. Comes across to Boyd. Boyd a slap shot. Smith the save. He was screened by Ferguson at the time. And the rebound is cleared. It got away from Boyd and down into the Pittsburgh territory.
One of the little things, Jiggs. Experience. An experienced defenseman would have used his hand on that puck. Boyd tried to trap it with his stick. Let the puck get out across the blue line.
Now Boyd again. Firing it into the far corner. Smith cuts it off back of the net. It's picked up by Langevin, who's out now with Persson on defense. Trottier and Tonelli up front. Baxter has the puck at center ice. 6.5 minutes to play. Baxter handed it right to Langevin. He's across the Pittsburgh line. A shot off the stick hand of Dion. Langevin runs into Baxter. In comes Trottier to pick it up. Left it in the corner. Langevin with it. Trying to clear it around the boards. It hit the referee. Baxter to Chorney. Chorney ridden into the boards by Trottier's check. Here is Schutt. Schutt had it stolen by Tonelli, but Chorney backed him up. Mark Chorney with 6 minutes to go. Left side to Saint-Laurent. Back in front, Schutt to Saint-Laurent. Smith the stick save. Big rebound, and Persson tied up Schutt. Good defensive play by Persson. Here's Tonelli on a break. Coming right in. Shoots. Dion at the side of the net. Blocked it, and it ends up back of the goal. Islanders, Don Tonelli got in just a little too deep to make the play.
He held the puck. Dion tried to hold his ground. He lasted long enough on his feet to force John Tonelli to go wide. Step on Pearson as he brings the puck through. There's the pass by Trache, springing Tonelli loose. In he comes, pulls the puck, holds it, holds it, holds it. Dion held his ground long enough and forced John Tonelli to go way wide. He could not get the puck in from the angle he let it go from. Close call, though, as Tonelli gets in all alone.
5:47 left in regulation time. I think back, Pittsburgh was eliminated a year ago in overtime, but that was game 5. I had the pleasure of working that game. Now Carlisle is returning from the Pittsburgh dressing room, along with good old John Doolin, equipment manager for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Butch Goring out on the ice for the Islanders. He'll take the draw against McLeish. The other forward is Greg Gilbert. Al Arbor showing a lot of faith in the youngster. Here's Ferguson dumping it in right to Bill Smith. Plays it back in the net for Morrow. Morrow away from one check. The pass off the stick of Goring. Boyd at center ice. A bouncing puck. And now play is called. This perhaps it was in the Islander bench and back out on the ice.
The possibility of overtime now looms on the horizon. See Dennis Potvin, captain of the New York Islanders. 5 minutes and 33 seconds remaining in the third period. A 1-1 tie.
What will we do for entertainment during the intermission, if there is one? You could sing 18.
Yes.
Bullard with it back of the New York Islander goal. Checked by Goring. Goring around to the right side for Bob Bourne. Bourne takes the turn in front of the net. Gave it to Goring. Now to Bourne. Bourne over the Pittsburgh line. Trying to come through the defense, and his shot just went wide. Goring is chased into the corner by Bullard. The puck went to McLeish. McLeish fires one from the blue line. Was off the target. Pearson goes back to the net to knock it away from Bullard. Around to Wayne Sutter, who clears it to center ice. Hoffman is back. Now to Boutet. We have less than 5 minutes to play as Boutet forces the Islanders back into their own zone. Clark Gillies, Brent Sutter, and Dwayne Sutter, the forward line. There will be a face-off to the left of Bill Smith coming up. 4:37, all that's left in regulation time.
Neither team seems to be showing the effects of a hard-fought game, Jakes. They're both skating well. We'll be back for more with the score 1-1 here in the Pittsburgh Civic Center.
Pittsburgh Penguins trying to keep things going at the Islander line, but Paul Baxter shoveled it back in offside. The clock now down to 4:18 left in regulation time. Islanders led 1-0 at the end of the first period on Mike McEwen's goal. The second period was scoreless. Pat Boutet scored at 6:51 of this third period. An assist from Kehoe and Carlisle. And we're coming down to the wire as far as regulation time. Pat Price dumps one into the Islander zone. Both teams have had some excellent chances since the score went to a tie. Langevin up the right side, knocked it away from Gardner. Wayne Sutter to Brent Sutter, trying to come in around Price. The pass to Dwayne Sutter, but that was offside. Price got a piece of Dwayne Sutter. Good check on the boards. Face-off will be outside the Pittsburgh zone. Islanders with 32 shots, the Penguins with 30.
Going to have a penalty up here in the broadcast booth here in a minute. Could be charging. We've got Bobby Nystrom walking up and down in one direction, Bill Torrey in the other.
For the most part, neither one of them with their head up all the time.
Will the nerves remain?
Here is Shutt into the New York Islanders zone. Pulled it away from Lane. Shutt around the boards. It came off the boards, picked up by Mike McEwen. McEwen dumps it out into center ice. Off them over to Carlisle. Carlisle to Shutt. Shutt playing it into the New York Islanders zone. Trache back for it. Saint-Laurent bumped into him. Lane ties up his man. Saint-Laurent centered, just went wide of the net. Here's Hotham with a shot, wide of the target. Comes out on the right side, Anders Kaller with it. Kaller at center ice. Fires it into the Pittsburgh zone. Tonelli chasing it. Dion moves out of the net. Played it right into the skates of Kaller. Kaller tried to get it to Tonelli. the old hidden puck trick. Where did it go?
Up over the glass. Andy Saint Laurent tipped at it. It was flipping, and it went just up over the glass down into the seats. From here, it looks black, the glass, the reflection, but that's where it went.
John Tonelli coming back to the Islander bench. 3 minutes and 12 seconds left.
Coaches in this situation, they want to change the lines quickly. They do not want tired hockey players on the ice. A half a minute, 40, 45 seconds. If you give it your all at this point in the game, that generally drains the body.
You see a veteran for Pittsburgh. You just saw a rookie in Bullard. You see the veteran and the MVP from last year's playoffs taking the draw and getting it to Potvin. Then he turns and a shot went wide. Cleared around the boards. Greg Bullard got McLeish to slow down, and Morrow picked up the puck. Gave it to Bourne. Bourne to Goring, but Price came over to knock it away from him. This is Ferguson for Pittsburgh. Up to McLeish, too far. Morrow has it for the New York Islanders. Gave it to Denny Potvin. 2 minutes and 50 seconds left in regulation time. Morrow's pass intercepted by McLeish. Comes in over the line. Got it to Bullard. Goring rode him off the puck. Gilbert had trouble handling it, and now here's Bob Bourne coming down the right side. Over the Pittsburgh line. Bourne goes wide on Baxter, then was hooked off the play by Ferguson. McLeish back. Gave it to Baxter. Paul Baxter up the right side to Ferguson. Into center ice. Ferguson, a long shot. Wide of the Islander goal. It's taken by Morrow. Around the boards to Denny Potvin. Potvin to Brent Sutter. Sutter turned. Dwayne picks it up the center ice. Dwayne Sutter in the Pittsburgh zone. Ran into Paul Baxter. And here's the Islander line is Kehoe. Kehoe chased wide by Potvin. Kehoe played it around the boards and hit the referee. 1:57 remaining in regulation time. We're tied 1-1. Persson to Potvin up the right side. It goes to Brent Sutter. Brent Sutter to Gillies across the line on left wing. Back to Brent Sutter. Brent Sutter to Gillies. Gillies put it out in front, but into the skates of Carlisle. Out come the Penguins. Saint Laurent leads the rush. Saint Laurent across the blue line. Takes a look. Centered one in front. Steered aside by Smith. There is Boutet with it. Boutet centered to Saint Laurent. That was broken up. Clark Gillies starts out with Dwayne Sutter. Dwayne Sutter carries it to the Pittsburgh line. Shot it in around Price. Right to Dion. Off to Baxter. Islanders have changed on the fly. Baxter down the right wing. Hammered. A great check by Langevin.
Wow, what a check by Dave Langevin, the check of the playoffs so far. Baxter gets up quickly. I don't know how he did it. He heads for the bench now.
And McLeish shoots it up into the crowd with 1:06 left.
A thundering blow by Dave Langevin on Paul Baxter.
Let's take another look.
There he is. He's got his head down. He's looking at the puck. He does not see Langevin moving in, and boom, look at him wrap himself around. A thundering check. Awesome by Dave Langevin on Paul Baxter. Number 20, Paul Gardner, has gone to the dressing room. It would seem to be...
The puck came up and hit him on the chin. Now, remember, he was out with a broken jaw for some time. But the puck deflected off the stick and caught him under that protective mask that he has been wearing. We have 1:06 left. Referee Hogarth talking to the Islander captain, Denny Potvin, and there's the Pittsburgh captain skating away, Randy Carlisle.
14,310 people here in Pittsburgh at the hockey game.
I wonder, going back to what we said at the beginning of the game, if the owner was using a little reverse psychology.
Only he knows. He could probably claim that now if he wasn't, and maybe he was.
Shouldn't be trying to second guess him. He's such a nice man. Islanders out shooting Pittsburgh 33-31. We're tied at 1.
Well, the fans did not let the team down. They're here.
And the team has not let the fans down tonight.
They have
played well.
responded.
It'll be Trottier, Kaller, and John Tonelli lining up for the Islanders. For Pittsburgh, Saint Laurent at center, shot on the left side, and the rookie McClellan on the right. Trottier got the draw, and Morrow cleared it to center. Carlisle shot it right back into the Islanders zone. A minute to play in the regulation time. Potvin fed it to Kaller. He's to the Pittsburgh line, gets over the line with a shot. Dion just got a piece of it. What a drive by Kaller. Now Carlisle around to the left side. John Tonelli pokes it away from Schutt. Taylor goes back of the goal, unable to center the puck. Tonelli can't get away from Carlisle, and here's Hotham. Around the boards, held in. Trottier, a drive, knocked down in the goal crease. Dion out to clear the puck. Shutt fires it out into center ice. Bodies all over the place in front of the Pittsburgh goal there for a moment. The puck comes back in offside. There'll be a face-off outside the blue line with 23 seconds remaining in regulation time. Tonelli having a little tussle, as you see.
Nobody wants the other one to have a little bit of an edge. John Tonelli trying to upset Hotham. Hotham did not go down. He tried to put John Tonelli to the ice. The infighting in a hockey game. It's not fighting. It's just a little tests that go on throughout the game. The two captains converse, Potvin and Carlisle.
Oh, they shove a little, too. It's more than just idle conversation. As you look at John Tonelli.
Some spark. Randy Carlisle seems to be in this hockey game, which is something he hasn't been the first two games. Coach Eddie Johnson obviously got to him sometime between the last playoff game and this one.
St. Louis leads Winnipeg 2-1. That's a second period score. Minnesota beating Chicago at Chicago Stadium 6-1 in the third period. Vancouver is in front of Calgary 2-1. Buffalo has taken a 2-1 lead over Boston. Quebec continues to lead Montreal 2-0. Although that was a final, Quebec 2. Vancouver has eliminated Calgary 2-1. Calgary goes out in 3 straight games after going to the semifinals a year ago. 10 seconds left. We are staring at overtime as Bourne was checked at center ice. Gillies fed it back to Morrow. To Potvin on the left side, and that will do it. Ferguson controls the puck. We're going to sudden death overtime in Game 3 of this best-of-5 preliminary round series. Dion goes to the dressing room. He has been simply brilliant in the Pittsburgh goal. The same story for Bill Smith. After 3 periods, Islanders won, the Penguins won. We'll be back with sudden death. If the Islanders win, they advance to the next round immediately. If they lose, we play here again tomorrow night.
Anything can happen in sudden death overtime. You think about the period, Jigs. The Pittsburgh Penguins had the better of the play in the third period. They got the only goal, Pat Boutet from Kehoe and Carlisle at 6:51. But they were in the Islanders' end of the ice consistently. 34 shots for the Islanders, 31 for Pittsburgh.
So at the end of regulation, our score is tied. The Islanders won, the Penguins won. We'll be back with an intermission feature following these messages.
Michelob brings you the 7-day weekend. Boy meets girl style. Meeting over a Michelob can show that special someone just how special you are.
On defense, Potvin and Morrow. General Manager Bill Torrey has been down to the Islander dressing room. He's standing in the doorway leading up toward the ice at this moment. And Dion smothers the puck. That forces a face-off in the Pittsburgh territory.
You would question, Jigs, you'd question whether Dion was using the right move by smothering the puck. In his defense, 2 Islanders bearing down quickly on him. If he'd have been able to move the puck around the boards to one of his forwards, they'd have trapped 2 Islanders moving in on him. His decision, he decided to hold it.
Trottier got the draw to Potvin. A shot blocked in front. Bossy the rebound. A great save by Dion. Bossy back to the right point. Morrow with it. Kenny Morrow dumps it into the corner. There's Trottier. Outmuscles Carlisle, but the puck loose. Tonelli tipped it to Trottier, and his centering attempt was blocked, and the Penguins move out into center ice. Shot checked by Bossy. Back to Potvin. Potvin dumps it into the center ice zone. Trottier moves up. Carlisle slapped it into the Islanders zone and hit linesman Wayne Bonney. Came back out, shot back in, hit him a second time, caught him on the instep.
What a beating. Bonney taking, that's gotta hurt. He got hit twice, one in the middle of the back, the other one on the inside of his leg. Rapid fire. See him wincing in pain. We often mention the fact, pretty brave guys. They've got to get in front of players throwing punches along the boards like that. They're trapped. They have no place to go when pucks are fired. big bruises and welts and sore spots tomorrow.
We just saw the graphics telling you about history, really, for both teams as far as playoffs and overtime is
one
concerned.
of the great overtime players in the National Hockey League, standing just to our left here in the press area, Bobby Nystrom.
Now Clark Gillies starts out of his own zone. Two centers with him. Clarkie across the line. The pass blocked by Pat Price, picked up by Ferguson. 3-on-2 Pittsburgh. Ferguson cuts to the right side, dropped it to Price. His shot hit Langevin. Now Price puts it out in front, steered aside by Smith. Tonelli unable, or at least Dwayne Sutter unable to control it. And Brent Sutter feeds it up quickly to Clark Gillies. He and Dwayne Sutter move down left wing. Gillies a long shot, kicked aside by Dion. Coming out. McLeish put it right on the stick of Bourne. Here is Baxter for Pittsburgh. Shoots it into the Islander territory. Persson going back. Persson left it for Langevin. Around to the left side to Gilbert. It got away from Hotham. Here's a race for it, but Carlisle will get back. Goring in quickly for the Islanders. Carlisle ahead for Gardner. All Gardner dumps it wide of Bill Smith. Smith plays it around the boards to Denny Potvin. Potvin to Persson. Stefan Persson to Greg Gilbert. Gilbert across the line was checked. 2 minutes gone in the overtime. Coming back is Potvin. Dennis Potvin to Kenny Morrow. Morrow dumps one into center ice, but right to Carlisle. Now to Gardner from the blue line, and a shot went off Potvin, sticking into the crowd.
Pittsburgh bringing the puck to the New York Islanders.
We have played 2 minutes and 12 seconds of sudden death overtime.
Is he nervous or is he nervous? You better believe he is nervous. He doesn't have any fingernails at all. I know that for a fact. But whatever he does have or he could get a hold of, you'll know he'll be chewing on as this game goes along.
Al Arbor has sent Brian Trottier to center ice. John Tonelli on the left wing. Mike Bossy on the right side. Gord Lane and Mike McEwen, the Islander defense. It'll be Saint-Laurent between McClellan and Schutt for Pittsburgh. Trottier got the draw, back to Lane, up to Bossy. Bossy to Brian Trottier. Out into center ice. Trottier was turned around by Saint-Laurent. Here's McEwen with the puck. He has the Islander goal. Sent Tonelli over the line. Price came back to knock it off his stick. Trottier to John Tonelli. Tonelli centered. Here's Bossy moving in. Was turned around by the Schutt. With a check at least of Steve Schutt. Now coming back for it. Gord Lane to Bossy. When I say Steve Schutt, I know it's Rod. Steve's in Montreal.
What a play by Pat Price. Jiggs as he knocked the puck away. A sacrifice, he dove at the puck, knocked it away. Two-line pass by the Islanders.
2 minutes and 54 seconds gone in sudden death overtime. Montreal has just scored in Quebec. And we've just been informed that Vancouver has indeed defeated Calgary 3-1. We take another look at John Tonelli in the play by Pat Price.
There's Pat Price, number 2. It takes that kind of effort for a team to win. Price diving out, knocking the puck away. Fine move by the ex-Islander, taking it away from John Tonelli. He was in alone on Michel Dion.
Islanders with too many men on the ice. They tried to make a late change, and referee Hogarth said no, so it'll be Merrick, Trottier, and Gillies. Trottier will take the face-off. Bullard is there for Pittsburgh. Langevin and Persson, the Islander defense. Gillies fed it back to Langevin. To Persson, now to Trottier, relayed it to Merrick. Wayne Merrick to the Pittsburgh line. Played it across the line, but Ferguson is backing up. Out of McLeish. Rick McLeish, long pass to Bullard, bounced off him, and is picked up by Dwayne Sutter. Over to Langevin. Langevin, left side, off the glass. It got away from Gillies. Rolls into the Pittsburgh zone and will be called for an icing infraction. Rick McLeish scored a dramatic overtime goal to eliminate the Islanders from the semifinals in 1975. That's when he was with Philadelphia. And leading up to that, Parisi's overtime goal against the Rangers, Westfall's overtime goal against Pittsburgh,
No, mine was not overtime, Jigs. It was like 5 minutes. Yeah, it was about 5 minutes left in the third period. 14:43 or something.
Missed by 1 second.
Oh,
14:42.
Bert Marshall made a great move. Keep the puck inside the blue line. I don't know why he gave it to me, but I didn't know what to do with it, so I shot it away. The net got in the way.
All you've been taught your entire career was shoot the puck. Langevin around the boards. Persson fed it neatly to Trottier. Breaks out with Merrick and Gillies. Brian Trottier a long shot. Dion the stick save. Merrick after the rebound. Taken into the boards by Carlisle, and Dion fires it to the corner. Comes to Dwayne Sutter. His shot. Dion got in front of it. Here's Langevin. Around the boards to Gillies. Gillies pinned there by Hotham, and we're going to face off to the right of Michel Dion.
Close call. Shot from the point. Through a lot of feet. Dion got down, looking underneath a lot of bodies to make the save. Coaches opting to change. Pittsburgh is anyway. Send out Pat Boutet, who scored the goal in the third period for Pittsburgh. Pat Price, who just made a fine play on John Tonelli as he went in alone on Dion. Rick Kehoe. They have not got the mileage out of him this hockey game. He skated much better. He's been rather disappointing to the team. First 2 games. A lot of experience. 30-year-old Rick Kehoe.
Long shot by Potvin was wide of the Pittsburgh goal. Gardner, his long shot knocked down by Morrow. He fired it into the Pittsburgh zone. Caller into forecheck as Pat Price gave it to Pat Boutet. Boutet chased back by Bourne. Boutet up the left wing for Gardner. Gardner shoots it down into the Islander zone. Bill Smith unable to cut it off. In on the right side is Kehoe. Kehoe shot. He scores! Rick Kehoe shot off the skate. Pittsburgh wins in overtime at 4:14.
They've done it. They worked hard. They deserved it. A hard-fought hockey game. And Pittsburgh Penguins, Kehoe, I had just talked about, let fly from a bad angle, and it hit somebody in front of the net, deflecting by Billy Smith. The play originated. Billy Smith had missed the puck going behind the net, and Kehoe blasted it off the side boards. There they are, number 17, Kehoe, who made the shot that got in behind Billy Smith. An overtime goal. 4 minutes, 14 seconds into the overtime.
Only the second shot in overtime for Pittsburgh. The Islanders had 5 shots.